You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How is your week going? Well, you're sticking with us, so that's a good thing. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Another good show lined up for you. We'll get our football fix and then some with Pat Kirwan coming up just 1 hour from now, a little earlier with Pat, and on a hump day to boot. Mark, a gentleman has written a book, The Voices of Baseball. It debuts today, and I think he's going to be talking to us right as it hits Amazon.com.
Well, that should increase sales tenfold. I mean, this book will be on the New York Times bestseller list by noon.
He'll go from 2 to 3, during the interview. So, looking forward to talking to Kirk McKnight. And, of course, it's a hump day, so, we'll shoot the bull with Seth Everett, who's got hockey fever. With a game left in the regular season for most teams.
Good night for the Panthers last night.
Couldn't have got any better. You pointed it out near the end of the show. The odds on the Penguins-Blackhawks game were the highest odds we had seen in a hockey game all year. And now, yes, the fact that we're a couple of degenerates and we actually pay attention to this sort of thing. But, we saw a few 430s, 440s, where you'd have to, if you bet $440 on a team to win 100, or if you bet 100, you could win nearly $450 if they won. That's a huge underdog.
Huge
favorite.
Huge for hockey, baseball, right. Any of these, you're talking about an ace pitcher against the fifth pitcher. You're talking against to get these type of odds. And Pittsburgh closed at minus 525 last night.
That's the biggest number we've seen all year. Biggest number we've seen all year in a hockey game. They were basically saying the Pittsburgh Penguins last night were the biggest favorite all year in the NHL to win. They lost 5-2. And by losing, the Florida Panthers are in the playoffs. Hot damn. Just like that. We thought it was going to come down to tomorrow night. They were going to have to beat the Hurricanes. Carolina playing to win the division. It was going to be a big game. And now they'll be playing for seeding.
Which is still a big deal because whoever finishes last gets the best ever team in the National Hockey League, the Boston Bruins.
That's right.
Set a record last night to the most points, the most wins in the history of the league.
Right. So that's what we got going on the ice. We'll say it again. Although Mark believes it ends today, the Rays are never losing again.
It could be 161-1, David. That's all I'm saying.
Mark Miller woke up Monday morning and had a feeling that the Rays, who were 9-0 at the time, were getting to 11. But then it was ending. This is like sitting there and you're playing blackjack and all you got a feeling. You're like, there's a low card under there. You know what? I think I'm going to take a hit. No, you shouldn't do that. No, I think I'll do. And then all of a sudden you've got like, nope, it's over. Nope, it's over. No more hits. So apparently the Rays are losing today. According to Mark Miller, it's getting to 11. Right. He's a big fan of Spinal Tap.
Very much so. More than one would ever know.
So
I also like large bread, but that's another different topic.
6:40 tonight at the Trop. The Rays hosting the Red Sox. I think Chris Sale, who grew up about an hour away, all right, will be pitching for the Red Sox. So we'll see if they can go to 12. 12 is their all-time winning streak. Now, obviously not to start a season, but just at any point in any season, the most consecutive games the Rays have ever won is 12.
Oh, now I'm rooting hard for him today. Not only to equal the record, but to do it at the beginning of the season. That would be fantastic.
So apparently, we like to go administrations. The Rays are the 4th Major League Baseball team to start a season with 11 or more consecutive wins since 1901. I believe that's Teddy Roosevelt. I'm a little shaky. The late 19th century, early 20th century on my presidents. I'm pretty good once we get to Woodrow Wilson. Okay, and then I can go forward. In between Lincoln and Woodrow Wilson, I get a little shaky with my presidents. Always did.
Well, there's a couple in there too that had some short runs in that time too. So you get,
no doubt. Harrison, lasted like 30 days.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Who could forget John Tyler? Right. It's easy to forget John Tyler. That's when he was president. So. But I think 1901, there have been 4 teams that have started a season with 11 or more wins. The Rays are one of the 4. Hot damn. How about that?
How about that is right. That's the good fortunes of one of the Florida teams. The other one is continuing to play in the play-in because they were embarrassed last night.
The full disclosure, I don't think we had signed on Miller and Mouton Twitch broadcast yet, because we sign on, about 5 minutes before we actually go on the radio. And I believe we were just kind of shooting the bull amongst ourselves. And Mark says, listen, every time I get psyched to watch an NBA game, it sucks. I don't know if I'm going to get psyched to watch an NBA game again for a while.
Well, and I will get psyched because the playoffs are coming. There's going to be good series. There's going to be good games. But goodness gracious, Miami. What a horrible performance last night.
I mean, if it wasn't for Kyle Lowry, they would have lost by 30. And Kyle Lowry has basically stolen money this year. He's been so terrible.
I mean, they lost by 11, and it never seemed to be that close.
Mid-third, they cut it to 5, and, they were down 25 late first half, and you're like, well, this is interesting. Atlanta's trying really hard to screw this up, and then Atlanta said, okay, we're going to start playing again. Yep. So now the Heat facing elimination. Facing elimination Friday night at home. I have to admit, I kind of like that. Not that the Heat are facing elimination, but this whole elimination games. I mean, remember the 1-game playoff in baseball? It's kind of exciting.
It is, but it's tempered a little bit by the fact that there are bad teams playing.
I know.
In a 1-game series, essentially. And I get what you're saying, but if anybody thinks that the Heat can go now beat the Bucks
after getting drilled at home by the Hawks,
right?
By the way, they don't have to beat the Bucks once. They got to beat them 4 times in less than 2 weeks.
There you go. That seems to be a problem, even if they get through the winner of the 8 or the 9-10 game here.
You really punctured my balloon yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Well, I just asked you a simple question. I said, do you like the play-in? And your reasoning was outstanding. You said, no, in theory, I like it, except none of these teams can do anything realistically. If you get a situation like the Lakers, which is a top 4 team that had a bunch of injuries and they end up in the play-in, but usually the teams that are 7, 8, and 9, and 10, they're there for a reason. And now that every round of the NBA playoffs is a best of 7, you can't have like Houston did 40 years ago, sneak out a best of 3 and then win a best of 5. And next thing you know, you're in a conference final and you got one great player. And next thing you know, you're in an NBA finals. I mean, you can't have that kind of run in the NBA playoffs anymore. It's a 2-month grind. And you just said, it sounds nice, but unlike the other sports, when you pointed out a 6 or a 7 seed in the NFL can win the Super Bowl. The Phillies were a 6 seed last year and got to Game 6 of the World Series. You and I have both seen 8 seeds in hockey. Hell, the LA Kings won the cup in the last 10 years as an 8 seed. Won it.
And we all remember the Blue Jackets taking out the Lightning a couple of years ago after the Lightning had set the record had tied the record for the most wins in NHL history.
So you said, no, I guess, it's kind of cute for this week, but none of these teams can do anything. This is, window dressing, and you kind of pop my balloon.
And you're right. The Lakers can do something, but that's a better team that came off of injury. And
right.
If there wasn't a play-in, they're still the 7 seed.
Correct. They still would have played Memphis, which is who they're going to play now. Though they were fortunate to win last night.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. By the way, we started our NBA playoffs going 0-2, huh?
Absolutely. Picked one winner, nothing against the spread.
No, zilch, nada. So don't know if we dare venture back into the deep end for picking the 9-10 games tonight. Although you're going to take the Red Sox? You're going to try to win some money back? Take the Red Sox on the money line?
How do you bet against the Rays? It was just a feeling.
You're due to lose. That's how you bet against them. You won 11 in a row. By the way, they're only minus 125. What the heck? Guess the Rays are starting an opener. That's why the odds are so low. Now you might have to change your tune. It's not often you get a team who's 11-0 and they're only minus 125.
So 1 11-0, 1 fighting to stay in the play-in.
We all have our favorite stats with what the Rays have done so far. Here's mine. They've hit more home runs than they've given up runs.
Miller and Moulton. Great show lined up for you today. As we mentioned, Pat Kirwan a little earlier than normal. We'll talk some baseball in the 8 o'clock hour with Kirk McKnight and Seth Everett to join us on the show as well. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yep. Zeppelin on the IR, back tightness. He should be fine. IL, but guys, we had a big crisis averted yesterday around the condo development in Jacksonville. Mark, I don't know if you're aware, but geese are mates for life. And we've had these two geese that literally are waddle like 3 feet apart from one another constantly. They stand in the water together, okay, because there's a very shallow end in the pond over here, and they can stand in it. And every time we went for walks for 7 months, the two geese at some point we would see. And for 3 days, Mark, one of them was gone. Oh, my goodness.
Bender.
Just obviously strayed, got sent to a friend's house, slept on a couch, whatever. And yesterday, pulling out of the development, going to run an errand, there they were, waddling
together
side by side.
Did you get the binoculars?
Yes, I did. I bought the binoculars. Okay. I pulled over on the side of the road and took the pictures of the two geese to send to my wife to say, it's okay. You can come home now. You don't have to be sad.
All right. I'm switching back over.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan will join us. First off, he's joining us on a hump day, and he's joining us a little earlier than he normally does. He'll join us at the top of next hour. We'll get our football fix and then some with Pat Kirwan of NFL Radio coming up in 40 minutes time. Mark, we should never underestimate anyone in hockey again. And the fact that the two of us, a couple of puckheads, thought that the Lightning and the Leafs would just throw their sticks on the ice last night and skate around like it was an exhibition game, shame on us. Neither team had anything to play for. It's the end of the regular season. They're going to meet each other in a best-of-7 playoff series beginning Monday in Toronto. Toronto had played the night before a strong effort in a game that meant something. They held up their end of the integrity deal by playing Florida tough and beating them 2-1 in overtime. So they were going to come to Tampa and mail it in. And the Lightning, who had lost 7 out of 10, they're mailing it in because they know the real season begins Monday. Ha, 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 ha. They played like they don't like each other last night.
They did, although, Toronto did exactly what we said they were going to do. They sat Marner, they sat Matthews. Yep. They played a backup goaltender that they called up from their AHL team. So
who made 137 saves.
Right.
But still, the gist was last night's game was supposed to have the intensity of the second to last exhibition game before the start of the NHL season. And it had juice because they've played each other enough in the last couple of years, and then they're going to see each other next week. And, just here's a little something to take with you.
It did have a 70s, 80s feel. 4 fights in the game. Bunch of penalties called, bunch of little scrums.
Yeah.
Or 2 fights, the 4 fighting majors.
Yeah.
A couple of fights.
We got 40 penalty minutes. We're like 23 minutes into the game. It's like, okay. All right. Now we're talking. Yeah. Little Bruins Canadians from the 80s. You're trying to get out of the atoms here. Yeah. All right. I like it. Little Rangers Flyers from the 80s. Okay. Trying to get out of the Patrick division. I like it. All right. We can never fall for that again. These are hockey players, all right? What were we thinking? That all of a sudden thinking that they were going to become NBA players for a night.
Even with load management, they gave a hell of an effort.
Right. That when they call it in their AAA players and guys from the bench who haven't played in weeks, they play.
Does get you fired up for that series.
Oh.
It just lets you know how good the first round will be, but particularly Tampa and Toronto.
And I know there are 6 people listening that'll be rooting for the Leafs, but there's a part of me for the next week and a half that would really like to live north of the border because I don't think we can fully appreciate the pressure that is on that hockey team in the playoff series against the Lightning. I'm trying to think, Mark, when is the last American franchise that has had this kind of pressure? For those that don't know, the Maple Leafs haven't won a playoff series since 2004. This is the team of Canada in the sport of Canada. Their Stanley Cup drought is 56 years. The drought to win a cup north of the border is 30. 30 years ago this spring, the Canadians won the cup. A Canadian franchise has not won it since. And this Leafs team, talent-wise, is the best roster since the 60s. It is. Even better than the 2 teams in the early 90s who went to back-to-back conference finals. This is the best roster the Leafs have had since there were only 6 teams in the league.
But they'll just have to get through Tampa, Boston, and then whatever comes out of the other division.
But just start with Tampa. I'm sorry, Mark. In the last 3 years, how many playoff series have the Lightning lost to teams in their conference?
That'd be 0.
Thank you.
That would be 0.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I think you could argue this year, there's always playoff pressure. And the Lightning have such a great franchise that there is some internal pressure based on past performance.
Right.
However, this year I think the Lightning are almost playing with house money in the first round against the Leafs because there's that much pressure on Toronto. If Tampa goes and gets one of the first 2 on the road, oh my goodness.
Oh, especially if they could win game 1. I mean, come on, let's face it. If they could win game 1, the wrath of a nation would come down on the Leafs for the 48 hours in between the whistle and the puck drop of game 2. I mean, it's why we do this. We root for the story. Why were we happy to see Koepka and Phil and Patrick Reed in the top 5?
Well, not so much Patrick Reed.
Well, that's true. That's true. Although, you had said at the beginning, if we could just get, like a Euro and Patrick Reed in the final group on Sunday, but
when they came up to 12 on Sunday, every past champion got a standing ovation, except Patrick Reed.
And he played 3 minutes away.
That's why he didn't get one. I mean, you do have to remember, he was kicked out of Georgia, went to Augusta State, was a pain in the butt at both places, was accused of cheating. But in Augusta, they all know the story, David. In Augusta, they all know the story.
I understand that. Of course, he did lead them to the national championship. But hey, In fact, it came down to one match, him against somebody from his old school, Georgia, and he won.
Right. Who do you think the people in Augusta wanted to win? Augusta State or the University of Georgia?
Georgia.
Thank you.
But back to the hockey. Shame on us. Honestly, we have spent our entire lives as fans of this sport. You worked in this sport for what? Almost 20 years?
Yeah.
Some of your best friends in the world are hockey players and former hockey players. What's wrong with us thinking that the Leafs and the Lightning would turn into the NBA? They played with more oomph than the Hawks and the Heat did last night.
Well, certainly than the Heat did. Goodness gracious. I can't get over that performance last night. That was to come out that badly. What was it the Islanders a couple nights ago? Give up 2 goals in the first 53 seconds in a game that they have to win.
Right.
The Heat are, not that they had to win, but they'd rather be the 7 than the 8. They'd rather play one game than have to be forced in an elimination game, and they came out flat last night.
A team that just a month ago, they had swept within 48 hours. They had beaten twice on their home floor. Close games, 1-2, 1-8, but they were 3-1 against the Hawks this year. 2-0 against them just last month. At home. Got them at home again. Trae Young trade rumors. All right, swirling around the franchise. Atlanta came in there. They're up 25 late first half. What the heck?
So the Lightning and the Leafs give us a great preview.
Yeah.
For what's going to be an amazing first round of an NHL playoff series. The Heat go down, and the Rays are never going to lose again. That pretty much sums it up in the state. Oh, yeah, the Marlins played too, but we don't pay attention to that. Miller and Moulton, the starting 5 is next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. The one thing I am finding, it is really difficult to get radio sound. Nobody puts it on Twitter. They all put their TV stuff because they want the video with it.
Wow. And unfortunately, I think we're going to have to talk to Chris, because I know ESPN has a service and they send sound. But I know early in our third act here, he said, no, we're not going to let you use it.
Well, that's why I want to find out when Philly filled in. He may have access without us asking.
Well,
it's pretty good, isn't it? My hometown got the Memorial Cup next year.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Huh. So you guys have a junior team?
Yeah, they've had one for probably 10, 12 years now, minimum. Saginaw Spirit. They do okay.
Wow. Florida Bigfoot Conference. Adam, a conference? Like, this is at a hotel? You got symposiums and everything? Anybody got any video? Yeah, Paul in Jacksonville, it's been raining for 3 days. And it's been 60 for 3 days.
Those are his junior stats for a total. That's not from this year. His stats this year are 57 games played, 71-72 for 143.
That seems pretty good, though. But what do I know? 2.5 points a game and all.
Right.
Man, Adam, I'd love a pamphlet. I really would.
I'd back.
Exactly. I want to schedule speakers, events. Chicago.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. That's when Pat Kirwan will join us. talk all things NFL as we are 15 days away from the draft. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Lot going on. Let's get to it. Time for Let's start with the NBA. The play-in started last night in Miami and Los Angeles. One home team won, but it wasn't the Heat. Miami was down 25 late first half, down 15 at the half. Closest they got was 5 late third quarter. 7 Hawks in double figures, led by Trae Young's 25 points. Atlanta 116-105. They enter the playoffs as the 7th seed, so congratulations. Now you have a best of 7 against the Celtics, who you match up terribly with. The Heat, meanwhile, they'll host an elimination game Friday night. They'll play the winner of tonight's Bulls-Raptors game. Loser of Chicago-Toronto is out. Done. Bye-bye. So long, farewell. Winner goes to Miami Friday night. Lakers rallied, down 11 at the half, down 7 going to the fourth. Timberwolves ran out of gas. They scored just 12 points in the fourth quarter and 4 points in overtime. Lakers emerged victorious 108-102, but they do not cover. Lakers now the 7th seed. They'll face Memphis. Timberwolves will go home, get Rudy Gobert back, and face the winner of tonight's OKC at New Orleans game. Loser of that is out. Winner will play Friday night in Minnesota. NHL. All the Penguins had to do was win their last 2 games, and they were playing Chicago and Columbus, 2 of the 5 worst teams in the league. They lost at home to the Blackhawks last night, 5-2, and because of that result, the Florida Panthers are in the playoffs. Now it's just a matter of, will they be the first wild card or will they be the second? And if you're the second, you'll face Boston. The Bruins won their 64th game of the year last night. That's a record. They have 133 points on the season. That's a record. That's 1 more point than the 1977 Montreal Canadiens. That roster is embarrassing. It's so good. 5-2 Boston over Washington. Leafs and Lightning had nothing to play for last night in Tampa, except they just don't like one another, and they're going to play each other next week in the playoffs. Joseph Wall got called up from the AHL, made 43 saves for Toronto in a chippy, intense 4-3 Leafs win. The playoffs can't start soon enough.
There is no doubt there. A couple of fights last night, bunch of penalty minutes. Very exciting for the first round matchup between these two teams.
Ooh, the hitting's going to return to the sport. Winnipeg beat Minnesota 3-1. It means the Jets are the final wild card out west. So 15 of the 16 NHL playoff spots are determined. Islanders have a 1-point lead over the Penguins. If the Islanders get a point tonight, hosting Montreal, if they get a point, they're in and Pittsburgh's out. If Montreal were to win, the Penguins can play their way in their regular season finale. Other hockey scores, Carolina and New Jersey both won. They're separated by a point with a game left for the division lead. Carolina has the lead. Edmonton beat Colorado 2-1 in overtime, but Colorado, with that point, moves a point ahead of Dallas for the lead in the division in the 1 seed. Vegas beat Seattle 4-1. Vegas actually has the most points in the Western Conference. Seattle, with the loss, likely will now be a wild card. Vegas 2 points ahead of Edmonton. Philly beat Columbus 4-3 in overtime. Vancouver 3-2 over Anaheim. The Rays are never going to lose again. Get that through your head. 11-0 to start the season. They hit 4 more homers. 29 homers in 11 games. You know how many runs they've given up in the 11 games? 20. That's right. They have nearly 50% more homers than they've given up runs. Brandon Lau homered in his 4th straight game.
Yeah, he's going to end up with 128 home runs as the team goes 162-0.
Shane McClanahan, 5 shutout innings. He did walk 4, however. Only bad news for the Rays, they had to put Zach Eflin on the injured list, back tightness. He'll just miss a couple starts. They're calling up their number 1 pitching prospect, Taj Bradley. He's going to pitch today against Chris Sale as the Rays go for their 12th in a row. By the way, they are the 4th team since 1901 to start a major league season with 11 or more consecutive wins. Mark, we play guess the attendance now with the Rays. Last year it was with the Oakland A's because they were struggling just to get 5,000 people at their games. But we've came up with a number yesterday, if you missed it, ladies and gentlemen. Our over-under number for a Rays game is 14,618. That's our over-under number. And they were just under that Monday night. Mark, Tuesday night, 7-2 Rays over the Red Sox, over-under.
I'm going to go over.
It was under by nearly 2,000.
Wow.
12,649.
And we thank you.
Yes, we do. I will say they made a lot of noise. They have a lot to cheer about.
Yeah, it sounded more full than that. I watched a good play. I actually thought there was a few more butts and seats last night.
Yeah, 12,649. By the way, Marlins history last night.
Yeah,
that franchise has done a lot. Couple World Series, no hitters, all-stars, Stanton at 59 homers. It never had a player hit for the cycle. Recently acquired Luis Ariz, who won the batting title for the Twins last year. Becomes the first Marlin to hit for the cycle in Miami's 8-4 win over the Phillies. You know what the cycle is? That's a single, a double, a triple, and a homer in the same game. Doesn't happen very often. Yankees beat Cleveland 11-2. Baltimore 12-8 over Oakland. Did you hear about the night that Ryan Mountcastle had? Who, by the way, doesn't he sound like he should be a member of the British royal family? Who you dating? Ryan Mountcastle. Oh, that's prime marriage material right there, honey.
Did you meet him at the Polo Grounds?
The Mountcastle family. 2 homers, 9 RBIs for Ryan Royalty Mountcastle. The Tigers are 2-8. They lost to Toronto 9-3. So the A's are 2-9 and the Tigers are 2-8. And the record for who's going to be the worst. Kevin Kiermaier with a homer for the Jays last night. Braves won again, 7-6 over Cincinnati. Padres doubled up the Mets 4-2. Pirates walked off the Astros 7-4. Houston's 5-7 to start the season. Minnesota won in extras over the White Sox on an error 4-3. Cubs were down 7-0 and came back and beat Seattle 14-9. When you score 8 runs in the 3rd inning, Mark, that helps. Texas blew a late lead, so DeGrom didn't get the win, and he deserved it. So it's like he's pitching for the Mets again. And then they hit a 3-run homer in the 10th to walk off and win at 8-5. So they win, and he gets nothing to show for it. St. Louis beat Colorado 9-6. They scored 4 in the 7th and 3 in the 9th for a much-needed win. Ohtani, a 1-hitter for 7 innings last night. He's going to get $55 to $60 million a year, right?
Having that discussion with a friend the other day, and he's finally. I said 12 for 600, and he nearly fell out of his chair. And I said, "I'm telling you right now."
Yeah, I'm going 8 for 440.
Okay,
it'd be the most per year, and 440, I believe, is just a few million more than Trout's contract. Clearly, he's going to be number 1 in everything. Most money per year, and he's going to have the biggest contract in baseball history. So you figure out the years and the math accordingly. 2-0 Angels over Washington. Milwaukee, they have the second best record in baseball next to the Rays. They're 8-3. They beat Arizona 7-1, and the Giants shut out the Dodgers 5-0. Devin White wants out of Tampa. Contract negotiations for an extension not going well. He's pulling a Roquan Smith. He's like, get me out of here. I'm entering the final year of my rookie deal. I don't want to be here anymore. Bucks are like, well, we don't want to trade you. He's making $11.7 million this year. I have to admit, with the way he played last year, I would not give him the money. He was not good last year. Looked disinterested, undisciplined. The way he played last year, I would not give him the extension. Remember, the Ravens gave up what? A bunch of draft picks and then signed him. So maybe Tampa can get that in return. By the way, Tampa visited with Kentucky quarterback Will Levis yesterday. What do you think about that? If he's on the board at 19, Bucks fans, this just in, Kyle Trask is not the answer, okay? All right, face that reality. 3 years ago, Jeff Okudah was the third overall pick of the draft. Yesterday, he got traded for a fifth-round pick.
Fifth-round pick.
Yeah. He was a former Lions cornerback. Falcons have acquired a bunch of new starters. I mean,
well, that's good because they were a bad team a year ago.
You make a good point, Mark. Tony Petitti expected to be named the new commissioner of the Big Ten today. He has extensive television experience with ABC, CBS, and MLB Network. He also replaced Rob Manfred as the COO of Major League Baseball 8 years ago. Currently, he was the co-CEO of the 33rd team. Apparently, he was the fallback candidate. Big Ten wanted to hire ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, who was
they inked him to a long-term deal.
Right, who was the former AD at Northwestern. But instead, Phillips, who had 3 years left on his current deal, got a 3-year extension. Here's my question. What the hell has Jim Phillips done to deserve an extension? The Big Ten wanted him, let him go. He moved the headquarters from Greensboro to Charlotte. Otherwise, what has he done? Eliminated the divisions? Wow. Where do we sign up for that gig? By the way, they got the worst TV deal of all the Power 5 conferences, and that includes with whatever deal the Pac-12 is about to come up with.
Well, he didn't do that deal. That's the only saving grace he has.
I know, but he hasn't fixed it.
Just saying.
Rory withdraws from the Heritage, which is one of those elevated events, and so that's going to cost him about $3 million in PIP money. Will Zalatoris back surgery, out for the rest of the year. Masters ratings came in yesterday, a 5-year high. 12 million were watching the final round of the Masters. Needless to say, as Rahm was parring 18, it peaked at around 15 million. College baseball, FGCU's Brian Ellis walked leading off the game. It's the 102nd consecutive game he's been on base. It's a new NCAA record, but FAU beat the nationally ranked Eagles 5-4 for the second time in a week. Florida beat Florida State 5-3. South Florida 13-2 over Bethune. And UCF beat Stetson 7-1. And good news, Mark, for the Gators. They have got their NIL act together, finally. Remember, the Gator Collective was supposed to be the deal? They were ahead of everybody? Yeah, it sucked. So out with the Gator Collective, in with Florida Victorious. I don't know about the name, but apparently there's actually money behind it. How about that? Gators have had a good week. Picked up Iona's best player in the transfer portal. He didn't follow Patino to St. John's. Basketball program's doing very well in the portal. 2024 recruiting class looks good in football. Baseball team's ranked third in the country. And now apparently they've got money behind their programs. It's life in 2023. You have to have that. And at 8 minutes before the hour mark, that was
the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So what are you doing with Devin White?
I'm more than likely trading him. I'll grant him what he wants because even though he's a young player, they're not good right now. They're not going to be good next year. You and I have talked about a teardown for a while. I don't like getting rid of players that are only in at this area of their career, but if he wants out and I can get more draft picks for him, I'm making the move, David.
So Roquan got a little over 20 from the Ravens. The Bears signed that free agent linebacker at a little over 18 a year. So basically, that's what you're going to have to pay Devin White, 18 a year.
His production doesn't deserve that kind of money.
Now, I will say the second year Devin White, the year they won the Super Bowl, that guy would have gotten paid. Last year's Devin White, not so much. So Bucks are trying to hold on to him, though, like you said, Mark. It's not like they got a bunch of 25-year-old studs on that team.
But by the time they're good, how old's the 25-year-old stud?
Yeah, but in theory, don't you want to sign this guy and have him for the rest of the decade? You know, in theory, I mean, you're going to be good at some point, right? So it's a quandary. We'll talk to Pat Kirwan more about that next.
David Mouton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiya Trail.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm good. How's your week going?
Well, sitting in a car out on West Bay Boulevard for the peace and quiet to do the show. Instead of your listeners were listening to cartoons and eating Fruit Loops or whatever the fuck they're eating up there.
Just because your family's still in town, aren't they?
They are still in town till Sunday morning. They're having so much fun they decided to stay till Sunday instead of Saturday or Friday, which is great. But these kind of things are not going to get done. But the car is perfect. It's like a little studio out here on the street in the freaking dark.
So did you move downstairs to do your Sirius show?
Oh, well, my wife and I totally moved downstairs. First off, there's 6 kids and 4 adults. There's 10 of them up there. And there was no room at the inn for us. And we were very happy to come downstairs and sneak out the door when we need to. So it's fine. It's been great, actually. But doing this kind of thing Janet's sleeping, and I am very happy to sit in this car. People that are out walking already in the dark, they see lights on in the car. So as they come by, they stop and stare in the window at me,
Yes,
and I have
they
to
do.
wave back.
Yes, they
Right.
do. I had to do a final walkthrough of a house that I sold for a guy yesterday. And I didn't have the other realtor was painted, but I had to show up for it. So I was literally sitting out on the road, and everybody that walked by.
Staring in.
Yep. That's
Like
what
you're an
I'm getting.
animal. You're an animal at the zoo, Pat.
Hey, freak show extraordinaire. But everything good?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's good.
I used to work with Tony Pettini. Good guy. Really good guy.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody in television say a bad word about Tony.
Nope.
Which is difficult to pull off.
Yep. Real gentleman, good guy. Kind of understated in a lot of ways. He won't be looking to make a big ego play or anything like that. He'll work real hard. He was Sean McManus's underling when I was there, when he was with me.
Yep.
And that guy went out of his way to help me a lot. Just good guy.
He hired Danielson away to
Yes.
CBS. He then became Rob Manfred's right-hand guy with MLB.
Yep. Yeah, all that's good stuff. And Mike Tannenbaum convinced him to come help get that thing. I just look, Mike, you got a year to sell that thing, otherwise you're going to go under.
Exactly.
And he knows it. I pointed out how much money I lost in mine. He got nervous. And Tony will do something good for him. He'll figure out how to get him where he has to go, like Amazon.
Right.
That's where they need to be. So I'll ask you later.
Okay.
All right, I'm flipping this over.
Hey, Mark, are you in a different place this morning?
He's in the studio that Felipe's usually in. Felipe's not here. So Mark's running the board on the show, and he has to do it from the other studio.
Yeah, I saw that bulletin board behind him with a bunch of stick-em notes on it. I go, that's not it. And then here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the second hour of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It's a different day and a different time than usual, but Pat Kirwan's kind enough to join us once again. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains and also, well, the NFL Today Show on CBS. And Pat joins us once again, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. Hope you had a good Easter with your family, Pat. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. And yes, the kids are still here. We're having a great time, and the weather's holding up. No, today doesn't look like a great one, but yeah, everything is really good to have them all around all the time.
And Pat, if the weather's bad, you can just go to the hockey rink all day. You know that. Just let them skate all day. That's fine.
I think that's coming up next, as a matter of fact. And I think two of them have some form of hockey practice this morning. Like they need more practice.
Nice. All right. We're 15 days before the draft. We know boards are not set yet, and we know teams are still doing last-minute interviews, so to speak. Where are organizations right now?
Well, the boards are being discussed, and I think that it's framed out pretty good. So the movement's going to be like this. I'll just pick tight end. This tight end, we have him ranked 39th, and maybe after a few days of discussion, you move him up to 36th. That's what's going on with that. Now, while all that's going on, we have visits like crazy, and the visits don't necessarily consume the general manager and the college scouting director, but they can, and it's very tough to keep going in the room and saying, hey, Johnny's here. You need to spend a half hour with him. It disrupts all the structural meetings they're in to get the board set. We're getting to the point now that the board is getting close enough that they're going to start locking it up. That's important. everybody and his brother's got a phone now. I work for guys that the board was never in the drafting room. It was in just the GM's office. And then at times, some version of it was brought out. But they're nervous as could be that whether it's a scout or the cleaning guy or somebody is taking his camera out and shooting a picture of the board and selling to some media guy. So that little level of paranoia is there.
The meetings right now, are they worthwhile? Are they cloak and dagger moves? I mean, are they actually can a guy help himself at this point with a meeting, or can he just hurt himself?
Well, they can do both, Mark. I've had guys hurt themselves at the meeting, and sometimes they're there for different reasons. Sometimes they're really coming in for a medical. Sometimes they're coming in for a psychological. Sometimes they're coming in because you just got a brand new linebacker coach and he hasn't met with the kid. So there's a lot of different reasons that you bring a guy in. If you got in your research found out the guy's got a terrible habit of missing the weight room in his time in there, you're going to have the strength coach with him and really reading him the riot act about what it's going to be like. But ultimately, somewhere along the line, over a 24-hour period, a guy or two slip up and they say things they shouldn't say, or you get a really bad vibe about them being part of it. And to me, the most important thing was to kind of drop them off with some of the veterans that might be in there watching film or something, and then get some feedback from those vets. Is this guy a fit for us? Do you think this guy would be good in the locker room with you guys? So all those are the reasons you have him in. But the college scouting director, he wants to be in that room with his staff, formulating and finalizing the board, and he's asked and pulled out of those meetings a lot. And I don't know, the scouts aren't allowed to move anyone up or down on the board while he's gone. So everybody sits on their hands until the guy shows back up.
Let's talk Bucks for a second. There's a few
Yeah.
things to talk about. First off, they're drafting 19th. You have always told us that that's pretty much the line of demarcation of where the first round ends and the second round begins, in terms of most teams only have around 16 to 19 first round grades on their board. So the Bucks are probably hoping that one of the guys they have in their top 12 drops to them. But also, they got a lot of needs, Pat. Like they had Will Levis in yesterday to interview. Just talk to us about the Bucks at 19. You know what their needs are. You know how this draft breaks down. It's an interesting spot to be also because they're in between two teams who have 2 first-round picks. Detroit's at 18 and Seattle's at 20.
Yeah, we've had 2 mock drafts, Jim and I, and it's good to go through those just to see what the pace of people coming off the board would be. The first week we did it, it was interesting. There was a bit of a hold off on the offensive tackles early in the draft, and by the time we got to our friends at Tampa Bay, there was a tackle available, and I would think a left tackle for them would be critical, and they would not pass that opportunity. Now, the second week, interestingly enough, because I went back and Jim went back, we don't really talk to each other about it. And we realized we were missing the boat on the tackles and waiting too long to take them. So by the time we got to Tampa Bay at 19, the tackles were gone. The little run on tackles happened right before them. It was first off, Paris Johnson came off first to Chicago. Then off came Skoronski, Broderick Jones, and Darnell Wright. And before you knew it, there wasn't a worthy tackle at 19. So Tampa Bay is probably running their own versions of these mock drafts, and they might come to the conclusion, if we desperately need a left tackle, we might have to move up to get one. So that's one point to make. The second point was, since there were no tackles this time, I landed up taking the fire plug 3 technique out of Pittsburgh, Cansey, to Tampa. So my point is that they're going to have to take a guy with his hand on the ground in the first round. I get your whole point about Levis, and if Levis fell to him, which I don't think he will, but if he did, they'd have to think about that. But here's the problem with that. Are you going to hand him the job on opening day? You probably would think that he's supposed to be, but he's not ready, and he doesn't have a left tackle out there. So which way do you want to go? Do you want to build the team and then go get – I don't think if Levis falls to 19, there's going to be a lot of reasons why, and he would not be the future. You can say that the guys that are there are not, which I agree with, but it doesn't mean that Levis is the guy. there's people that think Levis is just a guy. JAG, just a guy.
The other news out of Tampa is Devin White. He has requested a trade, according to reports. What do you do if you're Tampa with Devin White?
Well, the problem Devin White has is the same problem that the guards and centers have. The franchise tag is in a bad place for them. The franchise tag for the linebackers incorporates the outside linebackers. That's why the tag is over $20 million. So if you really study the history of the middle linebackers, I'll take you back to Mosley first. Mosley's a great player. Baltimore couldn't figure out how to fit him in. He's gone. And now we all see Edmonds is gone. They like Edmonds in Buffalo, but they weren't going to pay him $18 million. And then Roquan stomped his foot around and got himself out of there for compensation. The problem with White is he's in his option year right now at a little over $11 million. So they know they're not going to franchise tag him next year. So now they can say all they want. But the history of the middle linebackers, go look at those starting middle linebackers in the NFL, and I'll bet you're going to find double-digit 10 of them that was someone else's linebacker that they didn't want to pay. So if you're not going to pay him, you're now looking at down the gun barrel of the last year you're going to have him. So that's why they might be motivated to trade him. And that's what Devin White's agent knows. So unless you want to pay him 20, and I don't, then you're going to start thinking about on draft day maybe trading him.
Is he a player like Roquan Smith that's worth someone giving up real resources for and then signing? See, to me, year 1 and 2 Devin White was worthy of the 5-year, $100 million extension. Years 3 and 4, particularly year 4, I didn't like him last year, Pat. I thought he was inconsistent. I thought he was undisciplined. I didn't even like his effort game in and game out. I would not re-sign last year's Devin White.
Neither would I. And I would put him production-wise, to your point, below Edmonds. And everyone, White's better than Edmonds. No, Edmonds showed up every day, and that's why he got paid $18 million. So you're right about that. And the other problem with him is who's going to give you anything for him if you're not going to be able to negotiate with him before the trade? Are you really going to give a team a second-round pick for that guy? Look what Okuda, they only got a 5th. Why? He's ready for his option. They don't want to put the option on him. I got 13 to 14 of those 32 players aren't going to get the option. He was one of them. So they knew they had just this year and get what you can and get out. So now you look at our friend Devin and go, how do I negotiate? Now, is he going to negotiate in the overnight after round 1? You're going to give the agent and a new club who comes forward and says, we'll give you a second-round pick for him? Would you do that? I don't know that you could get anything done because you know what he wants, $20 million a year.
So this, if he's traded, really, I mean, yeah, Tampa will work the deal, but this is really going to be Devin's agent that's going to get this deal done.
He's going to have to work a deal with another club. In sequence order here, the first thing is that the Bucs would agree to the compensation package, call it a second rounder. Secondly, the agent's got to now deal with the new club and figure out what to do financially and how would we structure it. Now, I just throw the draft into this because I love Jack Campbell. I think that's the best middle linebacker in the draft, and I think he's got a chance to be in the first round. So one of the teams that might say we could really use Devin White, Washington, the Giants, Buffalo, they're not going to be interested until they see if they can get Jack Campbell. So the draft is going to influence this guy. My point is this: what an odd time for the player to announce this.
Well, and reportedly, that he kind of sort of hinted at this like a month ago, but yes, it came out yesterday and he is willing to go public with it now. By the way, I'm in love with Campbell. I don't think he gets past the Steelers with the first pick of the second round. I think he is finally Pittsburgh's answer at middle linebacker. They've tried a couple guys in the last 5 years since the injury to Shazier. I think this guy's the answer.
I love the guy, and I don't think he's getting out of the first round. So if you're waiting for pick 32, well, I'll give you the teams.
Well, we got 30 seconds.
Buffalo, Washington, the Giants. Those guys are looking at Jack Campbell and saying, there's our answer on a rookie contract for the next 4 years.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan joined us as he always does, courtesy of Pinterest. He's sticking around for another segment. We'll talk more NFL coming up on the other side. We've got a lot of baseball to talk in the 8 o'clock hour on the show. Seth Everett will join us as well on Miller and Moulton.
Kirk McKnight will also join us coming up at the top of the hour. He has written a book which literally is dropping as we're doing this show on Amazon and other places, called The Voices of Baseball. Kirk McKnight, who wrote that book, will join us at the top of the hour to talk about it. More with Pat Kirwan on the other side. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Pat, I'm hopeful that the package arrives today because I know it went out yesterday.
All right, don't you worry about it now. Relax.
No.
You've gone above and beyond trying to find it.
Well, it used to be real easy for me. I drove down, picked it up, and delivered it to you. Now I have to rely on others. That bothers me.
Well, you can always move back to this area.
Believe me.
You always can rely on me to pick up a package. What are you doing?
Well, God, somebody should be able to mail a package from Bonita to Estero. I mean, I don't think I'm asking for much.
I understand, but it's not too hard for me to run to Bonita either.
Well, trust me, a few more days goes by, you're going to Bonita. Hell, a few more days go by, I might be so aggravated, I may drive down to Bonita.
I laugh so hard. Obviously, in so far from Bonita here in Estero, one of the guys I play golf with was just annoyed with driving. He's just talking to me about what a curmudgeon he's becoming. He goes, "It's bothering me if I got to drive to Bonita Beach Road these days." I just laughed. I got you. I know what it's like this time of year. You've had it.
Well, sooner or later, my kids are going to be at Pinchers. Grandpa, when are we going to Pinchers?
Sue's the packet. Check the mail.
Yeah.
Check the mail.
Downstairs and see if the goddamn mail showed up.
Check the mail.
Oh, Lord. Everything else is good to you guys?
Yeah.
Where's
It's
Felipe
okay.
today?
He's on vacation and he didn't get a replacement. So I am running the board. That's why you have that. We have that wide angle has to stay on so we can hear David, and I'm doing the board. Felipe doesn't know it, but he's in danger right now.
Well, I think
You don't take
Felipe,
vacations without finding replacements.
correct. And I just the way you sometimes have to talk to him, the two of you, I realize Felipe's. I'm not going to spend the time to find out what his last name is. How's that? He's not getting a Christmas card from me.
That's not true. He's meeting with a consultant on Friday. We're changing his job a little bit. I actually think he'll enjoy it a lot more. Okay. I think it'll go a lot better for all of us.
By the way, say that.
By the way, the consultant's name is John Cassio.
Oh, there you go. There you go. John Cassio is going to tell him, get out while the getting's good.
Well, besides that, I mean, listen, I told him that before he started.
I like Felipe, but I can tell from a couple of times when there's been a technological problem that you guys have a short fuse with that kid. And it sounds to me like he might have screwed up a few times.
Actually, we've had a very long fuse. Okay. If this was Miller and Moulton in the first act, he would have been gone a long time ago.
No, we actually really like him.
Yes, a lot.
I wish he was a better worker because I really like the kid.
Yes. Nice.
Isn't it amazing that, I mean, the consensus in the United States is everyone in his age group's a lazy fuck.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just look and go, I tell my kids, now I'm telling my grandkids, if you can get out of bed before dawn every day, you're going to be wealthy. Because no one else is.
But it's funny though, and we really like Felipe. But it's interesting. He will work long hours. Like he'll do 2-3 jobs in a day.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't always work hard at the jobs, but he'll put in a 15-hour day. He won't necessarily work hard all 15 hours, but he'll put in the day.
Yeah, you know what? I like him, but you know what that tells me? It tells me he doesn't know what hard is.
Oh.
He thinks he's grinding away, and he just doesn't have enough feedback from you guys that ain't hard enough.
Oh.
But he's not alone. So think long and hard before you say goodbye to him.
Oh, no. Please, anybody who's, going to get up at that hour and work for us, we're thrilled with.
Yeah. I like him. He's kind of funny with me.
Yeah, I like it. Trust me, we really like him.
Good. Well, he's back on the Christmas card list. That's all I can say. You saved him.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour, our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. 15 days out from the draft. Pat will be broadcasting the draft once again on NFL Radio. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and over a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. All right, in our remaining moments, let's start with a signing that certainly stunned the three of us. Not just Odell to the Ravens, but this is a franchise that has not paid a receiver more than $6 million a year. And Odell Beckham's going to make $15 million this year. I have no idea how they did it against the cap, but just your thoughts on the Odell signing by Baltimore.
I'm not surprised they signed him because they need a player, and we'll all link it to Lamar somehow, but I'm shocked by the money. I don't know that there was anyone else in the market. Who are they competing against? That's the world I come from. Who drove them to 15 million? My answer is nobody. I talked to a team that had some interest in them, but they were in the 5 million range and weren't going to budge. And we're very happy if they didn't get them, they didn't get them.
Do we know how high the Jets were willing to go? Because apparently that was the other, lady in the room.
The answer to that question is no, we don't know how high, but guys that I've talked to said they were shocked that it got this. So I can react to it that way. They kind of knew the market on him, and let's just peel it back. He's 31 years old, and he's got 2 years of injuries. And I don't know how. First off, when I hear things like, well, Lamar recruited him, so now he's going to recruit Lamar. What are we talking about here? Lamar can come in on his 1-year deal with Odell now, put up better numbers than he ever put up, and then get out to the free agent world, if he wants to, or he's going to get tagged again. But I don't know why Lamar would say, now I need to sign a 5-year deal. They just signed a 31-year-old receiver to a 1-year deal. That makes no sense. So I think I always thought he was going to play. He's not turning down $1.8 million a game. Not doing it. So he'll play, and he'll play with this guy, and he's going to think, man, my numbers are going to be better because I got Odell, if he can keep him on the field.
That's the end all be all there because of the injuries, obviously. But so do you think, I mean, obviously you've thought all along they're going to keep Lamar, or that Lamar is going to sign the 1-year deal. But how much better do you think this makes Baltimore right now? They didn't have a receiver. They've got Andrews. They got Beckham. Does this make them a playoff team?
No.
Does it make them contend with Cincinnati?
No. Cincinnati has 3 guys like this, and with a quarterback that shows up for every game. No, I don't think so. I think it's an improvement. But do I think Odell is going to take the – let's go back to Odell's history. When did Odell bring a team to a Super Bowl or to a championship?
Well, he was good with the Rams. I mean, you got to give him that. He was good.
No,
now, they had Cooper Kupp and Stafford and what have you, but he played well.
He
did.
Came late.
Yes, he did.
So he's not getting any credit from me for that one.
Okay.
He was chapter 11 in a 10-chapter book. That's what he was.
Okay. And now, the debate we've had, Pat, is just how good are the Ravens? They've been a playoff team last year with Lamar missing the last 5-6 games, and they outplayed Cincinnati, quite frankly, in that game. If they had a competent quarterback, they probably win that game. They have a top 8 defense, and just where are the Ravens in the AFC hierarchy if they can keep their guys healthy? 2 years in a row, Pat, they've been 8-3 when Lamar's gotten hurt. 2 years in a row. I mean, that they were in first place in that division 2 years in a row when Lamar got hurt. 2 years ago, they were the number 1 seed when Lamar got hurt.
I'm a big fan of the Baltimore Ravens. Ozzie is still a big influence there. John Harbaugh is a friend of mine and a terrific football coach. They have tradition. They have history. They have the best owner in football. There's a lot to like about them, but they're in a rough division. Cincinnati is a very good football team with a tremendous quarterback. Cleveland's going to be better, and Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh. Well, just for clarification, David, because I know you know the numbers. What's Baltimore's record against Pittsburgh?
Well, that's the team they struggle with.
Yeah, and they're not even the best team in the division.
No, I know, but some teams are matchups. I mean, but it's true. They have struggled with the Steelers, even when they've won Super Bowls.
Even when they have Lamar on the field, it doesn't make a difference in playing the Steelers. So, yeah, matchups are interesting, but it's a tough division. I like them a lot, but I don't like them enough to say that I'd pick them to win the division.
Pat, 6 teams apparently are interested in the number 3 pick from Arizona. What will the Cardinals do?
If I were the Cardinals, and they got a lot to do, and they got about a half a season before anyone cares because they're going to discount it while Murray's not there. This is the time to go get picks and get high caliber players. And there are a lot of teams interested in the spot. So I would trade out if I were them. I've traded out with them just in mock drafts. I put the Raiders up there one time. I could see multiple other teams wanted Tennessee, but I think it's too far for Arizona to go down. Maybe.
By the way,
swap.
How about trade down 2-3 times? Swap with Indianapolis, then either trade with the Raiders or the Eagles. There's talk the Eagles might package 30 with 10 to move into the top 5 and grab a Will Anderson or somebody. I mean, If I'm Arizona, I'm trading down 2-3 times.
Charlie Casserly did it in Washington back in the 90s. It was a phenomenal. He moved down 3 times. I think we've talked about it before. He moved down 3 times, and then he actually had so much, things in revenue and opportunities. He chipped back up, but he did go down 3 times. I think if your first move is one spot, we've done that before. I've done that one before. Then yes, then you can go a couple times. So what are you selling? You're selling the quarterbacks. And what's nice time to say that, because Richardson kind of has emerged as a real candidate, and so is Hooker. So they could move a few times and sell quarterbacks. So I like that idea.
Could we see quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, 4, Pat?
Yes. I don't see, I've said this on this show before. I don't think this draft class is all first rounders. I think they're all in the mix because teams need quarterbacks. That's a big difference. This is not Eli, Phillip Rivers, and Big Ben. Where would these guys stack up if those guys were rookies?
Now, this could be Jake Locker, Blaine Gabbert, Christian Ponder.
Yes, I agree with that. And I'd be real nervous.
Who went 8, 10, and 12, by the way, in the same draft.
Yeah, but that people moved up for him. Now, think about Trey Lance and Jordan Love. To me, there's a few Trey Lance, Jordan Love guys in this that you got to wonder, are they ever going to play? I mean, yeah, they take them because they want them or they need them or they think they have to take them. And then you get these situations. Trey Lance, Jordan Love. Do you think either team really wants to put those guys on the field?
Well, we could talk about the Niners for a half an hour. The Sam Darnold signing, is that just because they don't trust Purdy and Lance's health at the beginning of the year, or is that because Trey Lance ain't going to be there much longer and he's the backup to Purdy? That was a fascinating third-string quarterback signing.
Very fascinating, to say the least. So the scenario that I think I would prefer to suggest is they're going to move Lance, and then Sam Darnold's going to play until Purdy's ready. Because I think the head coach is in love with Purdy. But Sam Darnold didn't play bad at the end last year, and they liked Sam coming out.
He's Pat Kirwan, SiriusXM's NFL Radio, moving the chains weekday afternoons. He's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. He'll be broadcasting the draft once again on NFL Radio. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Okay, fellas, enjoy your week, and I'll talk to you soon. We'll be heading to Kansas City with the 300,000 maniacs are going to watch players' names come off a board.
The NFL has got us hoodwinked. There's no question about it. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us. Kirk McKnight, at the top of the hour with his new book.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
That's in a half hour. Well, Canada relief, man. There's going to be a lot of raised discounts this year.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes for the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Kirk McKnight, author of The Voices of Baseball, debuts today, Amazon and elsewhere. We'll talk to him about it at the top of the hour. Seth Everett, 1 hour from now. You starting to Jones up a little bit for the draft? I mean, we've got NBA playoffs that are starting. Hockey playoffs start Monday. I mean, we still got a lot. The Rays are, never going to lose again. I mean, we got a lot of meat on the bones still, but 15 days away.
You and I are both subscribers of The Athletic, and their big draft guide came out the other day, and I dove in. It's like 300 pages
Yep.
of information, and that was the first time I really dove in. And literally today during the show, I got one thing to do after the show, And I am probably going to start my work, if you will, for the draft. I mean, I've been reading stuff, but I usually end up with a couple of notebooks full of every team and trying to it's my preseason for the 2023 NFL season will start this week, where I start really locking in to the draft and what teams' needs are, what they've done free agency wise, what's left, and things of that nature.
We getting hooked on phonics? We doing another draft show on Twitch or no?
I'm in.
I definitely know you're in. I mean, you start, drinking beer and you switch to the hard stuff, right around when the Bucks get on the clock at 19. I mean,
that's the over-under of when I go to bourbon.
And when he does, ladies and gentlemen, well, turn out the lights. The party's over.
It's one of the few times in the year that I stay up till after 11 o'clock at night.
That is true. It is a very, very tough Friday wake-up call, though. It's a very tough Friday wake-up call.
Oh, is that ever embarrassing?
But we do the Miller and Moulton. We do the first round live on our channel on Twitch. Running commentary with every pick. And I play GM, where I start, going, I'd make a trade. Oh, I got to get this linebacker. Oh, Schmitz, the center from Minnesota. Giants got to take him at 25. Oh, yeah. Yep. I put my GM hat on, and Mark goes, hold on while I pour me another one.
Well, I interview it's access to GMs that we don't normally get. I take the role of inside the war room, talking to the GM about what they want to do.
So apparently, Bryce Young's the pick at 1. That's the word now. Bryce Young's the pick at 1. A, do you believe it? B, if so, does it surprise you?
A little bit, but most everyone has these guys 1 and 1A. There's not much difference between CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, other than one's 5'10".
Well, yeah, and some people find that to be a considerable difference.
You are one that doesn't. You like Bryce Young more than CJ Stroud. I like Stroud more.
I'll say this. I loved Bryce Young more than CJ Stroud, but CJ Stroud against Georgia was a first-round draft pick. I mean, now it helps when you've got first-round picks at wide receiver, and they're actually better than the guys that are covering them. But his in-the-pocket work, avoiding the rush, his then, using what athleticism he has to extend the play, and, he made a tremendous Mahomes-like play when he avoided the pocket, ran to his right, and threw one into the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, that's a top 10 quarterback in the league type of play. And it's like, oh, snap. I mean, he's not doing this against, some defenses in the Big Ten that, quite frankly, none of those guys are going to play on Sundays. He did that against a defense in which 7 guys are going to play on Sundays.
Well, and to your point, though, that's, if you were to take a negative, it's how many first-round draft picks is he throwing to at receiver?
I understand.
Same thing you were saying about Tua a few years ago, when all of his receivers were, it would take a while for him to have as good of a receiving core in the NFL as he had in college.
No. He will never have the receiving core in the NFL that he had in college. He had 4 first-round draft picks. Even now that he's got Tyreek Hill and one of those 4 first-round draft picks, he still had a better receiving core at Alabama. I mean, Jalen Hurts is going, this Devontae Smith, AJ Brown thing. This is really good. You throw in Goddard, I kind of feel as if I'm back in Tuscaloosa. I'm just about there. We can take that running back from Texas in the first round. I kind of feel like I'm back with Nick again.
Well, and that's the other thing. You look at these guys from a standpoint of what the dominance of their offensive lines versus what they're going to have next year. That's the other unknown. And CJ Stroud showed his ability. Bryce Young showed his ability, but they're not going to be playing with nearly the overwhelming advantage that they have versus the defenses they're playing. And that's, to me, where when you look at a Levis, Levis 2 years ago with a different offensive coordinator, 3 offensive linemen that were different, looked great. Last year, loses his OC, loses 2 key offensive linemen to the draft and graduation. And oh my goodness, wait for it, David, he wasn't nearly as good.
And he hurt his shoulder against Ole Miss early in the year also. Right? There's no question about that. Like Will Anderson to me in 2021 was worthy of a top 5 pick. The Will Anderson I saw last year, I saw him get blocked. Every good offensive line he went up against, I thought blocked him. The Tennessee tackle, who they rate as the 4th best tackle, he owned Will Anderson for 3 hours. Owned him. Tennessee never doubled Will Anderson. Hendon Hooker didn't get touched. All right. So, now it's actually why I like Bryce Young. He wasn't playing with first-round draft picks at wide receiver last year at Alabama. He really wasn't. All right. I like Bryce Young even more because of 2022 than I did in 2021. But, if you're Frank Reich and the new GM in Carolina, and then you got an owner who's obviously impatient, he fired a guy 2.25 years into a 7-year deal. This pick is it. And apparently they're going to go with the 5'10" quarterback. Huh, okay. That's gutsy. I would, of the two, I'd go with them also. But, I'm not the GM of the team. I just think it's gutsy. Frank Reich's not getting another head coaching job. If this doesn't work out, that he's never going to be a head coach again. If the GM doesn't get this right, he ain't never going to be a GM again either. It's no big deal, guys. It's just your career.
Yeah, it's either they work for you or you work for them. That's what you're determining with these picks.
Right.
Whether you're going to be a scout or whether you're going to be a coordinator or whether you're going to be a coach and a GM.
The other part that I find interesting, and the reason I find this particular smoke interesting, is what is the motivation for people inside the Houston organization to be telling the Adam Schefters of the world, I don't know if we're going to take a quarterback 2nd overall. Think about it. What's the motivation? Is it how much interest do you think you're drumming up interest for somebody to trade up and take a quarterback? You want Indianapolis, who, by the way, would you even do the deal with Indianapolis? They're in your own division. What is come on, Mark, we all know if you're leaking out of the side of your mouth that the Schefter, which is going to make the news, be honest with you, we may not take a quarterback at 2. What the hell's the motivation to say that?
To make the phone ring to get somebody to move up. And maybe, just maybe, David, there's people in that room that think the same way Pat does, that these quarterbacks, and what you just said, that this is a bad quarterback class, that you are committing career suicide by taking one of these quarterbacks.
There's talk that maybe Houston takes the quarterback at 12. The other thinking was that Houston really liked Bryce Young, that he was their guy. And if now the word is it might be Carolina's guy, that Houston's like, well, and I won't necessarily take CJ Stroud. I'm not willing to put my future in his hands. Which you have to admit, it's the easy thing to do. What's a gutsier play? Taking CJ Stroud, who was not your number one choice at quarterback, or it's going, I got to be honest with you, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. We're going to trade the pick, or we're going to take, I don't know, who do we think's the best player in this draft? Find me an edge rusher or a left tackle.
I don't know. Ask Dolphins fans when they took Jake Long 1st overall instead of Matt Ryan.
There you go.
Isn't that the answer, David?
There you go. But it'd be interesting because you go back to Charlie Casserly nearly 20 years ago, in which he passed on Reggie Bush. And he took the defensive end 1st overall instead. And everybody was telling him to take Reggie Bush. Won the Heisman, exciting, the whole deal. They had the 1st pick of the draft. He said, no, I'm taking the edge rusher. And the Saints said, okay. And they took Reggie Bush. We all know it's lying season. We all know there's a lot of poker being played. We know the media is being used by agents. I get all that. But I'm trying to figure out, Like, we know why when Arizona leaked out, oh, we've had 6 teams call us. Yeah, well, it's because they want 7, 8, 9, 10 teams to call them.
And it might only be 3 teams.
Yeah, exactly.
They're trying to get to 6.
But what's the motivation for Houston to say, believe it or not, we may not go quarterback at 2? Huh.
And you're right. You would think it would be Indianapolis, but are they going to make that trade in their division? Do they think Indianapolis is that dumb and the quarterback's that bad that they're going to set their franchise back significantly by taking the quarterback and they're going to outflank them by going from 2 to 4?
One thing I would say, if I'm Houston and you're Indianapolis, and let's just say I've got the guts, I don't want to go CJ Stroud or any of the other guys at 2. I don't think they're worth it. But because you're in the same division, Mark, you're going to have to overpay. We all know what you should be giving me to move up from 4 to 2. You're going to have to throw a little something on top of it. I don't know what to tell you. I play you twice a year.
And we got to sell it to our fan base and our people that we got more than that. And you can sell to your fan base that it's your guy.
Right.
That you went up and got your guy at 2.
Yep.
We can both win, even though you're going to give up a little bit more. Think about it. It's a quarterback.
So that interests me. Which one of the 2 is really going to go 1? And then, really? Team at number 2, that gutsy? Really? Huh. Don't normally see guts like that. That's guts of a burglar right there. Don't normally see that. Okay. I'll applaud it. Just, you're putting your job on the line either way. So I'll applaud it.
21,000's the text line, 21000. Your thoughts, whether it's the draft, whether it's the Rays, whether it's the Lightning last game last night, the Heat's awful performance.
By the way, let's go big picture on the Heat here for a second. I mean, whether the season ends Friday against either Chicago or Toronto, or they win that game and they get drilled in 5 games by Milwaukee. Where are you going here? You made 2 conference finals in the last 3 years and an NBA final, but now Jimmy Butler's going to be 33 next year. You paid Bam. You paid Tyler Hero. Kyle Lowry was a bad signing, as it turned out, and I believe he's a free agent. I mean, where are you going here? I don't know. You've got any roster. You've got any cap room. You don't have a ton. Who are you going to trade that anybody else is going to want? That's not going to hurt your team. You want to add to Jimmy Butler, Bam, and Tyler Hero. Who do you have that can add to that? I'm curious. Where do the Heat go from here?
And they don't. I mean, they've got to try to reset this quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering cards to deal.
And I'm wondering if it's trading Jimmy Butler. That's what I'm wondering. If that's the only way they can reset this, that gives them some kind of assets and financial flexibility. Because I will say this, like Damian Lillard's going to get traded this offseason. But you put Jimmy Butler out there, I mean, you're going to have one of the 2 biggest assets that's available. Unless, that Karl Anthony Towns or somebody else becomes available. And would they have the guts, by the way, to trade with the Knicks? Because Tom Thibodeau would sacrifice a family member for Jimmy Butler.
And they have some assets now.
And they have 7 draft picks and R.J. Barrett. Yeah, and a couple other young guys. Yeah, Miami can actually get something that they need from the Knicks, though. The Knicks!
So what do the Heat do going forward? Because last night showed you what they are, unfortunately. It really did. That to me showed me everything I needed to see.
Yeah, and whatever's going on there, it ain't working. It ain't working. The effort's not there every night. The offense is woefully inconsistent. I mean, you can't bring this sucker back. So I think we're curious as to where they go. Miller and Moulton, Kirk McKnight, author of The Voices of Baseball. He'll join us next.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com. Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Spo? Oh, no. No.
Okay, thank you very much, but not necessary. He actually gave us both a copy of the book.
Yeah, we got a PDF version. That was a courtesy of him. I actually bought, this is an updated edition of the Voices of Baseball. I actually bought his first one in hardcover.
He did the Voices of Hockey, too.
Which I did not know until I was prepping for the interview. Got to ask him about that. He obviously thinks those guys have some real value, and most people don't. What was that, Chevy Chase? So, oh no, you're quite a slouch. I just.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're sending him back after this game anyhow. This is just a one appearance. They're going to use openers or relievers or whatever for the next one. So this is just a one-off. So
yeah, it was his day to pitch in AAA, so that's why he got the call up.
They didn't really want to call him up from what I read.
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton along the network on this hump day in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour awaits in the 239. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Seth Everett will join us for his weekly appearance coming up in about 40 minutes' time. But it's a pleasure to welcome Kirk McKnight, author of The Voices of Baseball. This is an updated edition. He wrote this book a while back, but he said, you know what? You got new broadcasters. So I'm going to interview them, include them in the book. 14 new broadcasters, a special tribute to Vin Scully. Kirk joins us now. Kirk, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. We ask everyone the same first question who's authored something. Why? And why again?
Well, when you write a nonfiction book, you got to realize it's always going to need some kind of update, especially in a sports book. And the book, the original concept of the book was to try to get a glimpse of all the ballparks for what they are and for the special features that they have. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, would be to talk to the people who know the most about them, who have the most experience with them. And you're not going to want to read a baseball book on the architects of these ballparks. You're going to want to read a baseball book on the people who spend, 81 games a year for 30 or 40 years talking about the game and what happens inside there. So it went from being a, ballpark by ballpark description to being a description of memories in general. You start to realize that some of the greatest games that these broadcasters called don't necessarily have to take place at home. You got Pat Hughes calling Game 7 of the 2016 World Series for the Cubs, and that's a road game. You got to have that in there, and you can't just limit it to just Wrigley Field when you're Cubs. When your readers are Cub fans, they gotta know the things that took place that have been the most impactful.
Were the things that were most impactful for the broadcasters the things that were most impactful for the game that they were describing, or sometimes was it something completely different that affected the broadcaster?
Well, the thing is, sometimes for them, there's a backstory. A good example is when I talked with Ted Leitner of the San Diego Padres. His most memorable game was game number 1 at Petco Park. Because of all that it took to actually get that ballpark going. And he described the structure that sat there for years in downtown, and they didn't do anything about it. He said it was like the World's Fair back in New York, just sitting there. He's like, is this just going to be like that forever? And we'll just be playing over here in Qualcomm all our lives? And the fact that they finally got across that finish line and got the game open, that meant the world to him. And so I think for each broadcaster, you want to think, oh yeah, there's a walk-off victory or something like that. But sometimes there's a lot more sentiment into it, and that happens a couple times in the book.
He's Kirk McKnight, author of The Voices of Baseball. It's an updated edition. He talked to 50 play-by-play broadcasters. Also a special tribute to the late Vin Scully. 14 of the 50 are new from the first edition. Kirk, you obviously find broadcasters interesting because you also wrote The Voices of Hockey. What is it about the broadcaster? Because, Mark and I joked. Most people don't find people like us interesting. What is it about you that finds broadcasters interesting?
Well, if you were to talk with a broadcaster and just have them spill the beans, you'd see that they know so much. Their memories are so expansive. You'd be talking with somebody like Rick Risch for the Seattle Mariners, and he could tell you play-by-play everything that happened down to the science. I mean, one of the new broadcasters for this edition is Bob Costas, and his most memorable game took place in 1984. And I interviewed him over the summer, and he's talking about this game, and every detail is as if the game just took place yesterday. We're talking about a game that was 38 years old. So these guys, with their memories, with their ability to connect, and their ability to, spill out all the stats, the players, what took place, what inning, it's uncanny. And so to get that perspective and just put it on the paper, it's a blessing. And for them to be willing to do that is an even bigger blessing.
The games have all changed, but I found, and David and I are both kind of minor league broadcasters, I found that there was a camaraderie with the players, that you got to know them. And once you had a trust with them, that they let you in on. I'm guessing these broadcasters probably have a lot of stories they couldn't tell, but what they couldn't tell allowed them to tell so much more, because they learned some intimacies about the players that are actually the parts that get out to the broadcast.
And I think that there's, we're going to talk a little bit about the hockey book in this aspect, but the players do kind of have this trust in them that, the everyday things that happen, and even if the players probably didn't mind, the broadcasters feel this ambassadorship that they have for the team, that holds them to a standard. Perfect example is, one of the broadcasters I talked to for the Voices of Hockey, he did want to release a story that was told. It was basically when Jaromir Jagr was playing with the Penguins back in those days, and it was a road game in Los Angeles, and there was this woman who asked him to sign her butt cheek, and she did. Or Jaromir signed her butt cheek, and they were all right here. People were just like, "Wow, this is a true fan." And she probably went down to a tattoo parlor and basically tattooed that autograph right onto her butt cheek. And he told me, he says, "Please hold off on that." He says, "I thought he'd have been retired by now. He's still in the game, and I don't want that going around." And so, of course, it's a great story, but it didn't make it in the book. And it's like, you gotta respect that. And they felt the same way. They're like, "I'd love to tell the story, but he's still around doing press conferences or whatever like that." And, so they have that mutual respect, I believe.
Kirk McKnight, the book, a revised edition of The Voices of Baseball. It is being released today. All the usual places, Amazon, where else?
You can actually go on the website for the publisher. It's Roman.com, and that's Roman with a W, ROWMAN. If you use coupon code RLFANDF30, you get 30% off. That gets you about $11 cheaper than getting it on Amazon.
What's that again? RLF what?
RLFANDF30.
Okay. I wrote that down just in case anybody wants it. We're all about saving money here.
And one of the other books, I know we're talking about the baseball book, but boy, when I was reading about the author and in the things you sent out to us, we've got to get into this. If you can give us a synopsis of why Dale Murphy belongs in baseball's Hall of Fame, because it's a book that everybody should own. He should be in the Hall of Fame. It's a slam dunk for the two of us. What in all of your research, is there a clear-cut reason to you why he should be in the Hall?
Well, if you point at the fact that Bonds, Clemens, and a lot of those guys were on the ballot with him for the Veterans Committee this last year, and some of these guys, with 350 career wins for Clemens, 762 home runs for Bonds, and yet they're not in the Hall of Fame, and it's because of the character clause. It's because of the integrity clause, and all these things, and these are things that go into the voters' minds when they vote. So if you're going to basically keep Bonds out because of this character clause, what about some of these players who are great players who do embody those characteristics like integrity and character and personal growth? Those kinds of people should be acknowledged as well. If you're going to snub the ones who don't portray or exhibit that, you should definitely be able to think to yourself, well, maybe I need to reward the ones that do, especially if they've had a good career like Dale. I mean, he won the MVP back-to-back years in the early 80s. He was five straight Gold Gloves. I believe it was 6 Silver Slugger awards. His batting average over his career was .265, but I mean, he started his career playing a position he clearly was not supposed to play, And once they got him out of the infield and into the outfield, everything took off. And he probably, but seen by many as maybe the most dominant hitter in the National League in the 1980s in the overall spectrum of it. So if that, things like that don't get you a Hall of Fame, you definitely need to look at his win to Lou Gehrig, winning the Roberto Clemente, Sportsman of the Year, things like that. Those things should definitely come into account when you're trying to put somebody in the Hall of Fame as well.
Well, and for those of us of a certain age, when he played, there was no one who did not think he was a Hall of Famer. Schmidt and Murphy were the two biggest bats in the National League in the 80s, even though both of them tailed off by the very end of the decade. He's Kirk McKnight, author of, The Voices of Baseball, which is out again as of today. Also, The Voices of Hockey, and, as Mark referenced, Why Dale Murphy Belongs in Baseball's Hall of Fame. Kirk, thanks for getting up early. Know it's a big day for you. Congratulations on the revised edition. Good luck with it, and hopefully we can talk again.
Yeah, thank you, guys. And make sure you get out and get that copy of that book. Let's get my number one ranking up there somewhere if I can get one.
We're all trying to get a number one ranking, Kirk. Thanks so much. It's The Voices of Baseball. It's the revised edition. 50 broadcasters in it, 14 new ones. Because I got the hardback the first time around. Being a broadcaster and a wannabe like I am, I grabbed it the first time around. And I even got the code if you want to save 30%. There you go.
What was that? Give that code again, because that was stuff for me.
RLF ANDS 30.
There you go. So I know we had someone in our Twitch chat room that was planning on ordering the book. So
you saved about $11 there. At least we did something for you this morning, right?
Got you a sandwich and maybe a fry for that $11.
Yeah. Miller and Moulton. Show's not half bad. They saved you $11. I don't know if we can put that on a t-shirt. Seems a little wordy.
A little too much for a t-shirt, David. Right? A little too much for a t-shirt.
Also a little too much for a hashtag, right? The hashtag's got to be shorter. It's got to be more like, a fragment. Can't be a full sentence, a full thought.
Miller and Moulton saves you $11.
There you go. Okay. Now, of course, you asked the question yesterday, chime in with what our walk-up song should be. Now we're going to have folks who are chiming in either on the text line at 21,000 or in the Twitch chat room. They're going to chime in with what our slogan should be, like Hops, riveting sports talk. Sometimes.
Right. We resemble that remark. Miller and Moulton, Seth Everett in 25 minutes. Thanking you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So who do you think Boston wants to see, the Lightning or the Leafs? Oh.
What was that?
So if you're the Bruins and you can pick your second round opponent, Lightning or Leafs?
Lightning.
I will say, if Toronto can get out of the first round, that kind of unleashes them.
Mm-hmm. By the way, today I just checked the National Day calendar. It's our day, David. It's National Only Child Day.
Hot damn!
And wait for it, National Grilled Cheese Day.
It's the greatest day of the year.
Begging the question, how can you have National Grilled Cheese Day on a day that's not National Tomato Soup Day?
Wait, National Not Tomato Soup
No, I
Day?
mean, how could it not be National Grill? How is it National Grilled Cheese Day and not National Tomato Soup Day?
It's funny. I didn't do tomato soup with grilled cheese. I was fine with just grilled cheese.
This segment's over. Might even have a poll question. Because Seth will listen to the last 4 minutes. He'll do 3 minutes on it. Right across from the landings. No. I have not, Michael. But I will write it down.
Michael, I have to admit, the way you lay it out there, I mean, awesome Italian food, husband and wife. Are they on the menu? Or are they? I'm a single cheese guy. I'm guessing Mark is mixes.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Site, floridasportsnetwork.com. Seth Everett to join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Heat lost. They're facing elimination Friday night. They'll host the winner of tonight's Chicago-Toronto game. The loser is out. Not just Friday, I mean tonight. 9 versus 10. Loser, that game's out. Just like the Lakers won, Minnesota hosts the winner of OKC New Orleans tonight, also on Friday night. So 2 teams go home tonight, and then 2 teams will go home Friday, and we can get the NBA playoffs started on Saturday.
David, I spend at least a couple of seconds every day, and I did it very late in the show, looking at a little website that has the national day calendars. There's 47 different national holidays every day now.
Yes.
Everybody has its own day.
Right.
And sometimes there are good days and some days there are bad days. Today is our day, David.
I beg your pardon?
Today is our day. Today is National Only Child Day.
Ha ha! All right.
Couple that with the fact that it's also National Grilled Cheese Day.
Well, this might be one of the 5 best days of the year.
I love me a grilled cheese.
Yes. By the way, underrated? Could grilled cheese fall under PB&J or grilled cheese?
Grilled cheese.
Okay.
And it's a great question. That's worthy of a poll question.
Thank you.
But it's not National Tomato Soup Day, which seems that would go with National Grilled Cheese Day.
I was never one that had to go tomato soup with grilled cheese.
This is the first thing I probably learned how to cook in my life. I was about second or third grade when the parents quit getting the babysitter for me in the summertime. Because it may be a little bit later than that, but sometime around the age of 10, I'm staying home in the summers.
Right.
And I could knock down a mean grilled cheese and tomato soup. That was my first cooking.
If I dare ask a question, do you think they stopped getting the babysitter because A, they just wanted to save some money, B, they thought you were old enough, or C, none of the neighborhood girls wanted to put up with you?
I think it's D, all of the above.
All right. Also, to me, this is one of those deals, like I love apples, not crazy about applesauce. There's a reason for that, though. I had a lot of ear, nose, and throat problems as a kid. I took a lot of medication. I took it in applesauce and pudding, although I still love pudding, but I grew tired of applesauce.
Well, you would think of grilled cheese as a little kid sandwich, but you can get crazy with it. I mean, you can get crazy with the types of cheese you can put in it.
Well, that's another part to it. Just to finish my thought, like I love tomatoes. I could literally eat 30 consecutive slices of tomatoes. Not a huge tomato soup guy. Now, grilled cheese. Are you a one cheese grilled cheese guy, or do you mix the cheeses?
I can go with a Kraft American and go old school like I did as a little kid. And I can mix 3 different cheeses together and have something that's a little more upscale for you.
Yeah. I think I was in my 20s the first time I had a grilled cheese that was more than one cheese.
And did you like it or did you dislike it? Did you find it because it wasn't normal? It would be like going, for you, it'd be like getting a quarter pounder with cheese and they give you a Wendy's single. It's like, what the hell is this?
Exactly. Or they're going to mix up the cheese. What are you doing? What are you doing? Put the damn Kraft slice on it. Have it melt a little bit. Give me the sandwich. So it terrified me, actually. I was out at a brunch and, had it delivered and it was like, wait a minute, what is this? Because, one of the cheeses was white. So all of a sudden it looked like I had a lazy river on top of in between my slices of bread. I'm like, what the hell is this? And they're like, oh, well, it's, this and this and this. And I'm literally thinking to myself, Kraft, what happened to Kraft? Singles if you have to. I don't care. But
I have never in my life heard of someone that likes tomatoes, but doesn't like, most people like tomato soup. tomato sauce, like marinara sauce and all those things, but you put a raw tomato in front of them and they find it disgusting. You're one of the few people that I've ever heard of that likes a tomato but doesn't necessarily like tomato soup. That's interesting to me.
Mark, I can eat a tomato like an apple.
As can I. I
love them.
I love them.
Yes. Well, and Jersey, grew up in Jersey. Jersey's huge in tomatoes. I mean, I'd argue like Washington for apples. Jersey actually claims that they have the best tomatoes in the country. Most people won't believe that, but I'd put a Jersey tomato up against anybody's. Love tomatoes. All right. Tomato soup, whatever.
20 years working with a guy. Learned something new today.
So I'm a one cheese.
Well, that cheese guy.
Right. Well, Mark, I'm not kidding. I mean, my mom, I think, is listening like she does most mornings. Mom, we ever have more than one cheese in the house? And by the way, Kraft slices and Parmesan doesn't count. Okay, you know what I mean. I'm talking about two different cheeses that you'd like put on a sandwich or something, that you'd put it in an omelet.
Like cheddar and Swiss.
Exactly. Provolone and American. No, we never had that. What, choice of cheese? Seriously? Are you kidding?
It explains a lot on how you attack a cheese tray now. When you see multiple cheeses, it excites you because it was something that you didn't have as a kid. You're like, oh my goodness, look at this. I've got cheese choices.
Right. It's like coming home on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. It's like, oh my goodness, I cleaned out all the cheese on Tuesday. She got new cheese and it's different.
So I may put up a poll question.
Okay.
And
so are we going with grilled cheese versus PB&J, or are we going with one cheese or multiple?
I think it's grilled cheese versus PB&J.
Okay. All right.
I think it's going to be a big battle.
It doesn't involve sports, so it'll be epic. It'll be popular and it'll be epic. If we were to ask, something about the Rays or the Lightning or the Heat, whatever. They're playing, right? Okay.
Yes, and they're 11-0.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're sending their best prospect to the hill today, Taj Bradley, because Zach Eflin's back's bothering him. It's stiff, and so they put him on the IL. He's going to miss a couple starts. And it was Bradley's day to pitch in AAA, so they called him up. They didn't want to, but they're calling him up. They're putting the 11-game winning streak in the kid's hands, going up against Chris Sale, like a 5-time All-Star.
Not like he has any pressure with it being his first major league start. Now throw on to the fact the team hasn't lost yet, and their starting pitching has been lights out. What is it? They've given up 20 runs so far this year?
20 runs in 11 games. They've hit 29 homers. Think about that. They've hit more home runs than they've given up runs. Unbelievable. I had 4 more homers yesterday. Brandon Lowe's homered in 4 straight games.
Phenomenal start. We'll see what happens today with Bradley on the bump for the Rays as they try to make it 12 in a row against Chris Sale and the Boston Red Sox.
I will say, and I'm a goober, but I love the hot prospect making his major league debut as a pitcher. Like, I'm not as into it when he's a position player, but I have literally rearranged my life to watch top prospects make their first start. Like, I remember doing it. The Mets have had a bunch of young pitchers over the years. I remember doing it for Matt Harvey, for Doc Gooden. I cleared out an entire dorm hall, basement, commandeered the TV for Gooden's major league debut.
Did you have to sell it to anyone, or did you just take claim and say it's mine?
I took claim and said it was mine. And they looked at me like I was crazy. I think it was a Tuesday night. It was in the Astrodome. And I basically just threatened everybody. I'm like, hey, you've all borrowed my car all year for your beer. I'm getting the damn TV tonight. When he's taken out of the game, you and your girlfriends can watch whatever darn show you want to watch. And it was so funny to have like 12 women sitting in the basement watching Doc Gooden pitch against Houston. How much longer are we going to have to watch this? Till he's out of the game. Get used to it. It's how your life's going to be when you're in your 30s and 40s. Sports is on the TV.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
You had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Hi, Seth.
Hi. How long is this vacation?
Last day.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, don't tell me.
No, I know. I get it.
What I miss?
I don't know. You were giving amazing, charming, gentlemanly advice before.
Mm-hmm.
Put sports on the TV. It's going to be the next 20 years of your life.
Get used to it now.
Was that how it worked? It was a pickup line?
Yep, that's how I sweet talked them back in the day. My first wife was sitting in that dining hall with me. Well, it wasn't a dining hall. It was our rec hall in the basement of the dorm. All right. Who you guys got? Your final game, Devils?
Oh, at Washington. Carolina plays the Maple Leafs. Go Maple Leafs.
I thought Carolina had Florida.
Florida? I thought it was a good team. Hold on.
Well,
Yeah, Carolina plays Florida tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. I was wrong. Who
but
plays the Maple Leafs?
actually, you'd want them to play Florida because Florida's playing for seeding. Florida needs a point.
Yep.
To be the first wild card and avoid Boston.
Sorry, Toronto's playing the Islanders. I got it confused. And the Islanders need the game.
I thought Montreal is the
Oh,
Islanders.
Toronto's playing the Rangers. You're a mess,
Oh,
Seth.
God,
Montreal plays the Islanders tonight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Maple Leafs Rangers. That's what it is.
Yeah, but that game means nothing to you.
Nothing.
Because, the Rangers are the third place team.
I know. I was there last night. It was fun. Jack broke the franchise record.
Helped getting Buffalo on the second of back-to-backs.
Sure it does.
And Buffalo now has tied the Jets with 12 consecutive
You see that?
non-playoff seasons.
I saw that. That was nuts.
What's scary is I think Buffalo's getting good, but you look at how good the East is, it's going to be tough to crack into the playoffs.
Okay, so if you're Buffalo, Do you let Kane get his hip fixed and do you sign him? Do you bring him home to end his career?
Yes.
Sure.
They need to make the playoffs next year.
Exactly. He'll sell some tickets.
The Eastern Conference seems so much more compelling than the West.
Yeah, you got the McDavid thing in the West, though.
Yeah. I'm interested in Lightning Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
That looks like a great series.
Yeah, I really don't want your team to win the division, Seth, because I want to see Devils and Rangers.
Oh, I don't.
I know you don't, but as a hockey fan, I don't have a dog in the fight. I want that series.
Second round.
I'd like to see, then we put Carolina and the Islanders in the witness protection program, and nobody has to watch any of that.
Yeah, that series could be on NHL Network.
Nope. I want to play the Islanders first, then we'll play the Rangers after they beat up on Carolina.
Beat the Islanders first.
See, here's the problem, though. In order for you to finish first and play the Islanders, you need the Panthers to win. And if the Panthers win, well, no, then then yes, you'd get the Islanders. That's right. Okay.
That's right.
You own the tiebreaker on Carolina too, right? Like if Carolina only comes away with a point and you guys win,
I think we win.
And you're tied. I think you have more regulation wins.
Yeah. Yep.
There are teams that are going to lose in the first round of the Eastern playoffs that I think would be no worse than the second best team in the West.
Oh, easily. There's
like
like 6 teams in the East that are better than the best team in the West.
Yes. Like if the Rangers and Devils played, I think the loser of Rangers Devils and the losers of Leafs Lightning would be no worse than the second best team in the West.
Agreed. Totally. Yeah.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until our time is up on the network part of Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. This day and time every week because, well, he's very generous. He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends Hall of Justice and Tech Stream. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. How the heck are you this week?
I'm great. Had a crazy couple of days, but yeah, everything's good. I got to meet the people behind the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, and I went to their office, and they had so much Superman memorabilia. It was wild.
What's the coolest thing they had?
Christopher Reeve's wheelchair, like his chair.
All right. What about from a Superman standpoint? What was the coolest Superman thing?
I was kind of thinking, tape.
Oh, like capes and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty neat, though.
No, I understand, but you said Superman memorabilia, so
yeah, there was all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it was pretty wild. We have some cool things we're planning.
Were you like Jerry Seinfeld in there? Did you want to put them to sleep so you could start playing with all the memorabilia?
No, but I took pictures of everything. I have all kinds of pictures. I was like, oh, I'm taking a picture of this. Oh, I'm taking a picture of that. It was fun. And then I went to the Prudential Center last night. Saw my beloved New Jersey Devils on Fan Appreciation Day. Took both my kids. That was fun. Got to hang with them. And one more game, and then it's the playoffs.
That's right, baby. That's right.
I'm trying to explain to them. My 14-year-old said, you remember when we went to the last game last year? It was so depressing. I said, you don't know depressing. I said, lose a playoff series. That's depressing.
Well, and I want to ask you, as the Devils fan, because this is an inexperienced team. Your expectations are a lot higher than everybody in hockey's expectations for the Devils. What happens when they lose that last game for your kids who have not experienced a playoff run? This could be a big bonding / father-daughter moment here.
Well, I've been prepping them. My prediction is if we can catch Carolina, if the Devils catch Carolina, they I think they can win the first round, and then I have no prediction on a second round, either against Carolina or the Rangers. I don't want to play the Rangers in the first round. I think that Shesterkin is such a good goalie. I don't want to go up against him 7 times. And I don't feel confident. I don't feel confident at all that the Devils can beat the Rangers. Plus, Ranger fans are insufferable. So it'll be just a torturous 2 weeks. And iHeart pulled their thing. Remember how last year I offered to cover the Yankees in the World Series and they added the Phillies on me? They've added the Rangers on me. So I have to go to that godforsaken building.
You mean the greatest
Madison
arena,
Square Garden,
right? The greatest arena in North America. But that's
well.
Okay.
I had.
Does anybody find it rich? Okay, coming from Seth Everett, that he said Ranger fans are insufferable. I mean, does anybody find that irony to be dripping?
Well, it's funny. I haven't been in Madison Square Garden in like 6 years.
Yeah, but that's a you problem.
Do you remember the incident with Maggie Gray? She was on WFAN.
Yeah.
And James Dolan, and then they banned WFAN from covering games. I supported Maggie at the time, and I just said I'm not going to this place. Like there's no game. I'm not buying tickets. I'm not doing anything. And I spoke to Maggie this weekend. I called her and I said, "Look, iHeart's going to have me go to Madison Square Garden. If you see me post a picture, it doesn't mean I'm not supporting, your cause and stuff." And it was cool. And she and I thought we should revisit it over the summer on Sports with Friends. So she's been on before, but it was a wild conversation. I have not been there since that day.
I can applaud a 6-year grudge. By the way, I can appreciate that.
Well, and they've ramped it up from media to attorneys. I mean, they with the artificial intelligence. I mean, the Garden's doing some wonderful things to make sure, and by wonderful I mean disgusting, to make sure that they can determine who comes to games there. And it's pretty crazy.
Weird. Yeah, it's a weird place. But
the owner of the Knicks and Rangers is a terrible human being.
He's a slime ball. Yeah.
It's
a
shame. It's a shame. And not only that, his company owns Madison Square Garden and Radio City Music Hall and a few other places around the country. And so, and he can hold a grudge. And if you sue him, or your company sues him, he bans all employees from every company that takes legal action against him from entering any. And it doesn't matter, by the way, if you bought a ticket. Okay. Right. You walk through the gates and it sets off the bells and alarms and they throw you out. And they don't give you your money back either.
Yeah.
And they don't give you your money back, which it seems illegal. I have to admit, seems illegal.
Well, the only thing that I can offer is I hope the fall of the cable company, I hope they hit Cablevision first.
Because that's where his dad made all his money and handed it down to him. So, but we have playoff fever as well, obviously, in this state. Panthers secured a bid last night, and believe it or not, making the playoffs 2-3 years in a row for the Panthers is significant.
Big deal.
They've got to start doing that to solidify that franchise. And of course, obviously, the Lightning with 3 straight trips to the finals, going to have another epic series with the Leafs and what have you. And
can't wait. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
just
we're all over it.
And it started last night with a couple of fights, and the Leafs and Lightning getting after it in what usually doesn't happen at the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
These games, and last night, the Devils games, a little bit of a blowout as they took down Buffalo. So, I mean, usually you don't have the intensity in games 81 and 82 that we're going to have a week from now, but they did a little bit in Tampa last night. Obviously, we've been talking a little bit of baseball with the Rays. Great start.
Yeah, how about that, huh?
And my goodness, 12,000 fans came out to support him last night, Seth. I mean, it's really, really impactful at the gate.
Well, it's an old story. I mean, the franchise is toiling while the baseball team thrives. It's the same old. The reality of it is it's an eyesore for the sport, and it needs to be fixed. I think the Oakland situation has always been worse. But I remember having this argument with Tampa when there were 12, 13 years left on the Tropicana Field lease. That lease is up now?
27. So this season and 4 more. And if you start to figure if it takes a year to negotiate a deal and break ground, and then 2 years from when you break ground to open a stadium, well, that's
Basically,
3 years.
Do it now. Yeah.
Right. And we only have 4 seasons left after this one. So it does feel as if it's not make it happen time, okay, you can see make it happen time from here.
Yeah, the Oakland situation, they don't have a lease. So they need a new ballpark as it is, and supposedly Vegas is the option, which I'm fine with. I don't.
Well, but with all due respect, okay,
to me,
no, to the Oakland situation, which has to get resolved before Major League Baseball puts their full court press on Tampa St. Pete.
Right.
Vegas has been out there now for a year, and they've had no lease for a while. With all due respect, why are they not in Vegas?
I don't know.
If the lease expired, and every time they say to Oakland, pass this or we're leaving, and it never gets passed, at what point are you either going to Vegas or clearly you have no intention of going to Vegas, but you're using it as leverage?
I remember when Rob Manfred was named commissioner at that press conference, we were talking off to the side, and I said that if priority numbers 1 and 2 fix the A's and the Rays. This was 10 years ago. And he looked at me and said, if that's the only thing I do, I'll have a great legacy.
Well, he's done a little more than that.
Yeah.
Hey, when we had you on last week, Seth, I know you were going to do a lot more on the whole Sinclair broadcasting on your.
We did it. Yeah.
And just the latest that, I want people to download the podcast and listen, but if you give us the overview of the latest you're hearing on what's going on with the Sinclair and the Bally Sports in their bankruptcy case.
Well, the one thing that I didn't know at the time, and I have since learned from that podcast, Kurt Bodenhausen from Sportico was brilliant on the podcast. Basically what Sinclair and Diamond, Diamond is the subsidiary of Sinclair. What Diamond is trying to do is pick and choose the least profitable teams and networks and shutter those and keep the profitable ones. So when I went into the podcast, I was thinking that 14 teams were literally going to lose their RSN money. Right. That's not the case. They're going to pay RSN money, but they're only paying it for the elite. And so that's the Atlanta Braves and the Los Angeles Angels. They are not going anywhere, and they will be on Bally Sports Networks throughout the season. The move that was made, it was originally when we were about to record, it had been the Padres, but they made the Padres payment. They took the MLB took the Diamond to court to release them from the Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Guardians. And that could get resolved, and how that gets resolved. But those are the franchises that are suddenly not going to have their money. And, regardless of what channel the games are on, whether they're on Bally's or on a streaming service or on some, phantom network, the reality of it is that they're picking and choosing. What they'd like to come out of this bankruptcy is a scaled down existence. They're not trying to get out of the RSN business. To which on the podcast, I said, are they drunk?
What I'm curious about is that they want to unload the Twins, because the Twins have, at least they did as of a few years ago, they actually had the largest radio network of any of the Major League Baseball teams, but also both Dakotas, all of Minnesota, the western part of Wisconsin, northern parts of Iowa. I mean, they have a huge geographic footprint for those games on regional television there. That's,
but if you live in
all
both
the
Dakotas,
teams,
right?
Yeah.
But if you live in both Dakotas right now, you can't watch the Twins on MLB.TV.
Yeah,
right.
Which is absurd.
And that's where, and Kurt was quick to say that's ultimately where this is all going to go. And the pioneer of that will be the NBA. He thinks that the new NBA TV deal is going to include a streaming service that's like the NHL and ESPN Plus, and it's going to have no blackouts, and you can watch it anywhere.
But the problem is that new TV deal will not go into effect until around Halloween of 24. There's still one more full year on the existing deal. So that's a year and a half for baseball. That's 2 full baseball seasons.
That's correct. Yeah, and then we got into speculation. What he didn't know the answer to is how far does Diamond take this? Okay, so now it's 2 teams, and we're in April. In May, where does this go? There were 14 networks and 14 teams. The other thing that's really interesting is what Warner Brothers Discovery wants to do. They just want to get rid of their RSNs, which is the Houston, Pittsburgh, and Colorado scenarios. And the rumor is, and again, this is just speculation, is that they're going to finish out this season. So 23 is going to be okay. But in 24, all 3 of those networks will not be on AT&T Sportsnet.
Is there anyone out there to buy these, or are these networks going to be shuttered, Seth?
That in the first 10 minutes of the podcast, that was my first question. Because if you remember when Disney bought 20th Century Fox, they were forced to sell those RSNs because they owned ESPN. Why did Sinclair buy them? That still doesn't make any sense. What were they thinking buying them? Cord cutting was growing at the time. I lost David.
And David, for whatever reason, you hit a chord there because your microphone went completely out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we got
okay.
you.
Those are the players I know did steroids, and I'm not telling you again.
But companies make mistakes. Like SiriusXM's doing fine. They bought Pandora. Pandora's losing them hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's why the company has suffered some setbacks here. So, companies make a mistake, and they obviously
but they're not even calling this a mistake. They still think that RSNs are the future, and I don't.
All right, we got less than 60 seconds. Go.
Sports with Friends is a broadcasting icon. Joe Castiglione, the longtime voice of the Boston Red Sox, he scaled back, and I told him I feel guilty because as soon as I saw that he was scaling back and only doing 81 games, I thought, oh, well, then he can do the podcast. Hall of Justice is going to be an actor, a great actor, Paul Sun-Young Lee. He is Carson Teva on The Mandalorian. He's on the actual Mandalorian, but he's also one of the stars of one of the funniest shows I have seen in the last 10 years, Kim's Convenience. He plays the father. Paul Sun-Young Lee is a huge Star Wars fan, and he's going to do the Hall of Justice. We're going to record that. And Tech Stream is about Twitter and the media and how this blue check thing is really compromising reporters.
There you have it. Seth Everett, Seth_Everett on Twitter. Seth, as always, thanks. Good luck to your Devils, and maybe it'll be you against me next week in a first-round series.
I say the Rays lose a game before the next time I come on.
Miller and Mouton. Have a great rest of your day. For those in the 239, the bonus hour's next.
For Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Mouton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I have one good text on the poll question.
Okay. Okay.
I figured I was wrong there, Hops, but I know Barry Manilow wrote so many jingles and so many different things. That was my only guess. Good question. And Michael, if you're still in there, does the Italian place make their own pasta? That Osteria Cella or whatever that's on Summerlin, not too far from there, is also pretty damn excellent. Another husband and wife team.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us on this hump day. Kicking around the Rays, who are never to lose again. I mentioned Chris Sale, a 5-time All-Star, actually 7-time All-Star. Chris Sale and the Red Sox will try to take down the Rays today. Mark has a feeling, of course, he had it Monday morning, that the Rays were going to get to 11. Then they were going to lose. It is quite the dichotomy on the mound, you know. Hot shot prospect, best pitching prospect in the Rays organization against the guy who was a first-round pick 13 years ago and kind of took baseball by storm for the first 8+ years of his career, Chris Sale.
And then has just been fighting one injury after another since. Seeing if he can get his form back.
And what's also interesting is, the hotshot prospect was a 5th-round pick. Sale, one of the aberrations, first-round pick in June, and he's pitching in the majors in August. And he did that 13 years ago. But, this guy, obviously 5th-rounder, when he was drafted, not thought of as, hey, this guy's going to be our best pitching prospect one day. And next thing you know, this guy's really good.
This guy's really good. He's working his way through the system up in AAA, and it was his day to start today in Durham. So he gets the nod with the call-up against the Sox tonight.
Taj Bradley is his name. 6:40 first pitch. I mean, at this rate, Mark, game will be over by 9.
Oh, yeah. This sucker's done. They're 9:15 the latest, David.
Well, last night's game was 2:35. Here's the other thing. Let's face it. When the Rays were playing at home, they haven't had to play a bottom of the ninth. I mean, there's 8-10 minutes right there. Commercial break leading up to it. Done.
They've had, 2 close games?
Yeah, the 1-0 game at home where they hit the solo homer in the 8th. And the game at Washington in which they trailed going to the 9th and scored 5 times. Yeah.
But far more important than the Rays winning streak, today is National Grilled Cheese Day. And that has led us to a poll question. Which is a better sandwich, grilled cheese or peanut butter and jelly?
Whew, man, this is hard. I can't believe I came up with this because I don't even have an answer.
I got this text. At this age, Mark, it's grilled cheese. Close. Photo finish. With pepper jack or Munster. Not scared to use more than one cheese either.
I am.
It frightens David.
Listen, I'm afraid to make a grilled cheese. Not afraid to eat them, but I mean, you really don't want me anywhere near, cooking food.
When's the last time or first time that you've cooked something? And that does not mean putting it in the microwave for 46 seconds. Using a pan.
Okay. I have under instructions, like taking a pan out, put the oil in it, put the chicken in it, put it in the oven. Okay,
That's
but
cooking.
I understand. I mean, there were instructions left. All I did was basically follow them. I mean, only 3 times in the last 20 years have I actually, though, been like, I'm the chef. I'm cooking. And that's been at like church picnics where all it is steaks and hot dogs and hamburgers.
Once again, still cooking. Don't sell yourself short.
No. And I'm actually pretty good outside with a grill. Okay. And I understand steaks and, medium rare, medium. I actually understand it and I cook things accordingly. I'm pretty good with meat.
Me too. I cook steaks accordingly too. They're going to get them rare to medium rare. And if they don't like it that way, they can leave the house.
Well, then obviously we'll never be dining together. Okay. Your stock with my mother just went through the roof, by the way. I don't know if I ever told you this. We used to go to this really cheap steak place, like one Saturday a month. That was like our big, out, with Rustler Steakhouse. I mean, it was really fancy. You got a tray and everything.
Much like the York Steakhouse at the Fashion Square Mall that I would go to, David. I know the place of which you speak.
Right. And so you get to the point in line where it was time to order your steak. And they'd say, how do you want it? And everybody says, rare, medium, blah, blah, blah. My mother would say, okay, here's the deal. Take that piece of meat right there. I want you to put it on the grill. Put it on the grill. Okay. Are you listening to me? A guy out of fear would take that piece, put it on the grill. And she would say, now just hold on a second. How you doing today? Is your day going okay? Going pretty well? Yeah. Okay. Take it, flip it over. All right. He'd be like, what? Flip it over. You're cooking it too long. And then about 8 to 12 seconds would go by and my mother would go, okay, there you go. Put it on the plate. He's like, I can't serve you this. And she goes, do I have to talk to your manager?
Well, we know where you got it from.
No doubt. Absolutely. Got it at Rustler Steakhouse when I was 9. Oh, yeah.
We know where you got it from.
Yep. Here you go. As she said, don't ask me my order if you don't want to accommodate it. That's how I like my steak. I want it purple on the inside. I almost want it still talking to me. That's how I like it.
Your mom still scares me. My mom doesn't scare me. Your mom scares me.
She doesn't scare me anymore. All right. She had a good run, though. She had a good run. Probably to my mid-20s. Okay. But, nah. She's a softie at heart. That's the funny thing. I mean, she really is. She'll do anything for anybody. I mean, she'll give you a lot of attitude along the way, but at the end of the day, she'll do pretty much what you want.
So grilled cheese or PB&J, go to floridasportsnetwork.com. That Mark Miller, lead David Mouton on Twitter once he gets it retweeted and get your vote in.
Okay. More peanut butter or more jelly on your PB&J?
Probably a little more peanut butter.
Okay. All right.
Because I'm not one that likes to make the mess of jelly all over the place. If you put too much jelly on there, it starts spilling out the sides and it gets all over the place, and I don't want that.
And so that bothers you. Okay. I get it. No, I totally understand it. That when you're eating the PB&J, okay, in which do you want it to be 55-45? In which direction? Do the last taste on your palate, do you want it to be peanut butter or do you want it to be jelly?
And I know you can mop up that jelly that falls off onto your plate with both sides, and I get that, and I will do that. But I don't even like when I have toast with jelly. Like my wife puts about a 1/4 inch of jelly or jam on that toast. You can't even see the bread when she's done. I like a little less. I don't need that much sweet. And I'm sure that leads to the question. Most of you could say I could use a lot more sweet.
Hello.
That was just the easy one.
Come on now. He's an assistant coach on a softball, soccer? What are we coaching?
Softball.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, you can't get any softer than he is right now, for goodness sakes. Please. He's the third base coach on an 8-year-old softball team. I mean, the next step's the home, for goodness sakes. How much softer do you want him to get?
It is something. There was every game, there is a play that's close, and they'll look to me and I look at all of them, and I'm like, I don't care. I literally don't care. Fair? Was that fair? Yeah, it probably was, but one of them called it foul, so we'll do it over again. Do you know why? It's U8 softball. And
right.
The last thing I'm going to do is argue with any of you about a call. I don't care.
Right. We're going
My goal
home.
is to have more practices so we can get better. You know what? Juice box and snacks either way.
Exactly. My goal is to get out of here at 7. I'd like to be home by the 4th inning of the Rays game. They're playing a lot faster this year. Yes. That is a problem. Starting games a little earlier, moving so fast. You hear that already there's a complaint amongst the major league owners. Guess what?
Concessions are way down, aren't they?
They're selling less beer. These games are going too fast. How about this? How about we just eliminate the whole, stop selling beer after the 6th or 7th? If the games are going to go shorter, say you'll stop selling beer if we go extra innings. It's the same thing. If it took us 2.5 hours to play 7 innings, and now it's taking us 2.5 hours to play 9. I mean, I'm not that smart, but I can figure this one out.
They like that cushion, though. They like that cushion. It's just like it's coming up on hockey playoff time, David.
I know.
And that is one of the tough things that happens because they cut off beer sales at the start of the third at most every arena in the country. That game goes overtime.
Yep.
You better have club seats or be in a suite if you want to still get a beverage.
I know.
It's one of the great little things about Blades games is you've got breakaway up there. And the club there. You can still get yourself.
That's true.
You still can get yourself a overtime beer.
That's true. Overtime, you just had to break away, and then you just watch overtime from the breakaway. That's true. I think playoffs start for them next week. This is the last home weekend of the year this weekend. Playoffs start next week. They qualified again. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, but we're fired up. I mean, it looks as if the heat season's going to end here quickly. You know, if they get by Friday night, they ain't got nothing for the big boys. They're the Miami Heat in name only. They got nothing.
No real depth on the roster. They can't score enough.
Nope. Jimmy Butler will steal a game. That'll be it. Milwaukee in 5. That's it. This sucker will be over soon enough, if not Friday night. I got to admit, if I'm Pat Riley, I'd rather lose Friday night than like get swept or lose in 5 to Milwaukee. Honestly, if we don't have much gas in our tank, put us out of our misery, I can make sweeping changes if we lose 2 play-in games at home. Sweeping.
How sweeping?
Trade everybody except Tyler Hero. I'd put Bam out there. I'd put Jimmy Butler at 32 out there. And you know how much I love Jimmy Butler.
And Bam would be worth something to a lot of teams out there. That's a valuable commodity.
But I think they're at the point where, you know, they're paying Butler, they're paying Bam, and they're paying Hero. They don't have a whole lot of room to pay anybody else. Well, okay, then how are you going to redo this roster? Also, you don't have much else on the roster that anybody wants. And you don't have a ton of picks either. So you're going to have to break up Butler, Bam, and Hero.
Right, because that big three is not good enough. That's what we've learned this year.
No.
Unless you have a lot of parts around it, and they don't have the ability to get those parts right now.
Right. The secondary players gave them more in 2020 and 2022 than they're getting now. They got to move on. Miller and Moulton.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you read the Post today? Did you read the Post this morning? I guess after 3.5 hours, he's not listening to me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Did you read the Post yet?
No.
Did you see the big Yankees? I call it a controversy's probably over, stating it. But so Michael Kay, 2 nights ago, there's a bat boy in Cleveland, Yankees bat boy, and he had long hair.
I'm looking at the picture right now.
I mean, like down to his collarbone.
Yeah.
Just even longer. And Michael Kay, becomes grumpy old guy. And, we're going, hey, I can't believe you're wearing the Yankees jersey, which ball boys do. And you or bat boy, I think, or bat boy. So he's right by the Yankees dugout wearing a Yankees jersey. And he looks like he's a singer in a rock and roll band because he is, as it turns out. But Michael Kay calls him out and goes, not only that, he's got scruff on his face. Okay, I can't believe that the Yankees are okay with this. So on the road, the teams don't bring their bat boys with them. They just ask the home team, go, hey, who do you got? And we'll put them in a uniform, what have you. So the kids from, the Cleveland area. Well, he heard about it. And so he tucked his hair in underneath the helmet. And he shaved for the second game.
As well he should have.
And Michael Kay was like, listen, we don't allow for the players. How can we allow somebody to look like that? But it turns out, and Michael Kay even said he looks like a singer in a rock and roll band.
Tom Petty is what he looks like.
Well, and
that's what he looks like.
Well, they found out the kid's name, and I'll give Michael Kay credit. He gave, by the next day, he had his name, the band he's in, where he's playing. Okay, so good for Kay.
That is good for Kay. That's a good story. I like that. We can do that here. I don't know what the hell else we're going to do.
Well, we can revisit Brian Ellis for a second also.
Yep. Okay, good deal. All right, I'm switching this back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly, what's on tap. Today was the day when, along with some final thoughts, all 20 minutes away. So our big story in this hour yesterday was Brian Ellis of FGCU. And he led off the game last night with a walk. just like that, on base, 102 consecutive games. Now, here's the interesting part. Supposedly this is an NCAA record. Although I have to admit, I've been contacted by a couple of schools who are like, not sure about that. I think we might have had a guy with a longer streak. Because this is not an official NCAA record. Like, they don't keep track of this. So it's 102
well, how
games.
the hell did we get to saying it was a record then?
Well, yeah.
Just saying. It's still a great accomplishment, not taking anything away from the young man.
Right.
I think it's a great feat. He was great to come out with us yesterday. I'm rooting for him. But if it either is a record, or it's not a record.
Well, first off, the 102 may be the most. I haven't had anybody confirm that it's not. Although I did have somebody with the Gators say to me, I think we had somebody with a longer streak. Huh, okay. In the 90s. All right. Well, look it up. But also, I guess the NCAA this is not like DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak.
Right.
Robin Ventura hit in 58 consecutive games when he was in college. That's in the NCAA record books. This, I don't believe, is going to go into the NCAA record books. They took the base out of play. It's in the FGCU trophy case. Brian signed it. He got his picture. They played the game, the whole deal. By the way, FAU beat FGCU 5-4. Two teams who could be competing for an at-large, and FAU beat them twice in a week. But anyway, he got to 102. They play FIU tonight. I don't know if it's home or away, but
a lot of initials this week.
Yes, FGCU, FAU, FIU. Yes, a lot of F's, a lot of U's. Right. But
figure
anyway,
out the rest for yourself.
Yes, fill in, add consonants if you'd like, or vowels for that matter. Put them wherever you want. So, but anyway, did you see the story that got some attention in New York? Because, apparently there's not enough going on in the greater New York metropolitan area. So they have to come down hard on some bat boy for the Yankees.
I did.
So the Yanks are in Cleveland. And Monday night, they got a bat boy. And they put a picture of him on the screen. And
looks a lot like a young Tom Petty.
There you go. And honestly, seriously, like a 20-year-old Tom Petty.
I'm telling you right now.
Right.
Just start singing Breakdown.
And so picture that. Skinny, elongated face, and long hair that comes all the way down past the shoulders to probably the collarbone, wouldn't you say?
Right. If not Petty, Greg Allman, one or the other, but it's right in, he's a Southern rocker. I mean, make no mistake. He looks like a Southern rocker.
Well, remember, this is the Yankees.
Yes.
Steinbrenner bought the team in the early 70s. Shortly thereafter, in the 70s, he had the big hair and the mustaches and George said, hell no. No, we ain't having any of that. And no, you come here, you get traded here, you shave. And we ain't playing, by the way. I don't care how much money I'm giving you. And players have joked about it still. Here we are 40, 50 years later. I mean, you go to the Yankees, you shave. They ain't playing around. And not only did he have the long hair, but he also apparently, he had
a cheesy mustache and scruff.
Yeah, he had stuff on his chin, put it that way. Right. That was very visible. Well, Michael Kay, a longtime broadcaster of the Yankees, I mean, he starts becoming crotchety old get off my lawn guy doing the game. It's like, I can't believe this guy's wearing the Yankee uniform. We don't let players look this way. How are we letting a bat boy? Well, this is something I didn't understand. I can't believe that Michael Kay did not realize that the bat boys were provided by the home team. I mean, he's been doing this 30 plus years. First as a writer and then as an analyst and now as a play-by-play guy. I mean, it's not like the Yankees flew this kid out from the Bronx. I mean, the Indians/Guardians provided this kid to the Yankees. And he said, here, put this uniform on. Well, the word got back to the kid. So he didn't get a haircut, but he tucked his hair, Mark. You know how women put their hair up? He put his hair up. He tucked his hair up underneath the batting helmet. And he got rid of the scruff for last night's game.
He's a drummer in the band Open Doors is the name of the band. His name, they didn't give his last name. His name is Nate. And I'm hoping that at least he sings at least one Tom Petty song a night when they're rocking.
I'm hoping they get a few hundred more people to show up for their club gigs because of this. Open Doors, huh?
Open Doors.
All right. So anyway, a big to-do. Can't be wearing the Yankee uniform and looking like that.
Absolutely. I'm on Michael K's side here.
I know you are. You, Mr. Dress Code to broadcast Everblades games guy. Like, you aren't going to be on the Yankee side on this. The radio people had to wear shirts and ties. Okay, please. Radio had to wear shirts and ties.
It's a matter of looking professional.
Oh, for goodness sakes. It only matters if you sound professional.
It's not true because of the scouts and the people that are in the building. You never know who is going to be there. You want a professional look for your organization. And I appreciate that you were able to do that for me.
I had on slacks. I had on an appropriate shirt, but no tie, no blazer. And you'd have thunk that I was this lead singer for Open Doors wearing the Yankee pinstripes, although no pinstripes were on the road. It's just the grays. All right. Sitting next to Boone at the dugout going, I don't know. I think I'd pinch hit here. That Volpe kid's not doing squat. That's just me, though. I'll be here for another couple nights, Aaron, if you just want to talk.
But he cleaned himself up.
That's right.
I love that he just tucked the hair in the helmet, though.
Yep. I mean, I'll respect your tradition and all. I ain't getting a haircut.
I am not cutting the hair.
But I'll respect your tradition. Okay.
Hello, Cleveland.
Don't you have to, if we're doing sports in Cleveland, don't you have to get the kid on the show?
100%. I would think by today he's making the rounds on the TV morning shows.
Yes.
Sports talk shows. I mean, this is his 15 minutes. I would think that Open Doors, which for the record is just a god-awful name of a band.
Really?
Yeah.
2023, a lot of the names have been used. I mean, I don't know it's better than Open Windows.
Open Fly would be better than Open Doors.
Listen, if I'm doing sports for one of the TV stations in Cleveland, I think I'm, going live before the game today. I'm interviewing the kid live.
There's no doubt. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. The Dan Patrick shows put different bands on that. They could be doing the next Stat of the Day theme music before this thing's all said and done. This could be the biggest break ever for Open Doors. Until, of course, Nate wants to leave the band and go on his own as a solo act.
Oh, they got a 110 first pitch. Oh, you got the new news. It's got to be out there, baby. You got to be doing the news, talking to this kid. Can't have much responsibilities before 110, right? It's a bat boy. I mean, the guys know how to do BP on their own. I don't think they need me. That's funny. The Guardians can't even get local news attention. The bat boy can for the Yankees.
For Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles Or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Mouton on the Florida Sports Network.
You check their Spotify. How'd they sound? They sound decent, or this kid going to have to start working for a living?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here." Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our friends from Pro Football Network will join us tomorrow. I think we're going to get into the new Gator NIL with an interview tomorrow as well. So some of what to look forward to on the Thursday edition of Miller and Moulton as we're 15 days out from the NFL draft. We'll get to what's on the schedule tonight coming up. But right now, time for...
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
No Royals today, Kansas City or otherwise. But it was today in 1861 that Fort Sumter was attacked by the Confederacy, beginning the Civil War.
That's kind of a biggie when you think about it. I mean, we've had how many of those?
Yeah.
Right. One. Started today.
1909, Philadelphia's Shibe Park, which would become Connie Mack Stadium, is baseball's first steel and concrete stadium, opens. And the Athletics beat the Boston Red Sox 8-1. 1938, the Blackhawks beat the Leafs for the Stanley Cup, the only Cup team to win it with a losing regular season record. 1940, the NFL cuts the clipping penalty from 25 yards to 15 yards.
Holy mackerel.
No kidding.
25 yards. They were barely throwing the ball back then.
1st and 35.
Right. Should
For
we
a
punt
clip.
now? Should we
Right.
punt now?
No wonder the quick kick was a big deal.
Yeah.
41, Bruins sweep the Wings for the Cup. 45, FDR dies in office and Harry Truman is sworn in as our 33rd president.
Did you ever hear the details of that day? He's in Warm Springs, Georgia, his retreat place. He's with his mistress. This woman who had been his off and on mistress. They decided to rekindle things. Meanwhile, the First Lady's back in D.C. She knows what's going on. Okay? They got 5 kids, 4 of them in the military. Okay? And FDR collapses, and the mistress and her friend, they gotta get out of Dodge, man. I gotta get out of here. We can't be seen. Can't be any evidence of us being here. But yeah, that's how everybody says, Kennedy and what have you. FDR. Apparently everybody knew. There was no TMZ back then, though, Mark.
No, exactly. No cell phone coverage as well. 53, Hogan shatters the Masters record with a 14 under to finish 5 ahead of the nearest competitor. The next year, Sam Snead would win his 3rd and final Masters, beating Hogan in an 18-hole playoff. That same day, the Minneapolis Lakers beat the Syracuse Nationals in 7 for the NBA championship, and Bill Haley records Rock Around the Clock. Pretty big day today in 54.
My mother had the 45 of Bill Haley, Rock Around the Clock. I used to
Probably
play
worth
it all
some
the
money
time.
if she still had it.
Yeah, I may have damaged it. It was either that or Bobby Darin's Splish Splash. One of them I brought to school, and it got cracked.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a grounding.
1955, polio vaccine was tested and announced to be safe and effective, and given full approval by the FDA.
That was a game changer.
Today in 61, Douglas MacArthur denied an offer to become baseball's commissioner.
That would have been hysterical.
How would he have handled steroids?
Could you imagine him negotiating with Marvin Miller?
No. I can't
That-
imagine him negotiating. Today in 64, Arnold Palmer wins his 4th Masters, his 7th and final major victory. 1976, Anne Rice's debut novel, Interview with a Vampire, is published. Today in 1980, Terry Fox, the Canadian one-legged distance runner, began his marathon of hope across the country in St. John, Newfoundland. 81, Watson wins his 2nd over Jack and Johnny Miller.
That would be his second and last Masters, because he won the 5 British and a U.S. Open.
Today in 87, Larry Mize chips in to beat Greg Norman for his only major.
Think about how differently we would talk and feel about Greg, because that's the year after, Jack, and he bogeyed 18 to lose by 1 to Jack. And if he had come back the next year and won,
it's a game changer.
And plus, it would have been, because people forget, in 86, he got his first major. He won the British that year. So then he would have won a major, right away.
Today in 92, Freddie Couples wins his only major, defeating Raymond Floyd by 2, that is.
That ball somehow stayed up. Floyd was talking about it again this year, going, well, it had rained. They didn't have an opportunity to cut the grass like they normally do.
98, Marco Mira wins the Masters, beating Couples and Duval by a shot. 09, Angel Cabrera wins his second major and Masters.
He's in jail,
Yes, he is. And in 2015, Jordan Spieth goes wire to wire to win the Masters. Lots of birthdays today. Herbie Hancock's 83. Ed O'Neill is 77. David Letterman and Tom Clancy are both 76. David Cassidy, 73. Vince Gill is 66. Lorenzo White is 57. Adam Graves is 55. Shannon Doherty is 52. Claire Danes is 44. And Ted Ginn Jr. is 38 years old today, David. What did I miss?
60 years ago today, Martin Luther King Jr., jailed on Good Friday by Bull Connor in Birmingham, ends up spending over a week in jail and writes letter from a Birmingham jail.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, we go to Iowa, where Earl Lapp, 61-year-old retired mechanic from Dubuque, bought himself a lottery ticket on April Fool's. And he laughed when he scratched it off, or had to confirm it with a convenience store clerk, not a scratch off, that he'd won the big prize. The big prize was $40 million. He took the lump sum of $21.28 million for Lotto America. We don't have Lotto America in Florida. Apparently the odds are better in that. 1 in 26 million of winning the jackpot.
Huh. Have to admit, in all my travels, I'll have to check it out. And, is there a place that, what state was that again?
Iowa. It's in 13 states.
Huh.
It offers smaller prizes than the Powerball and Mega Millions, but has better odds.
Well, but, Mark, is it enough money? What lottery snobs we are. When somebody wins the big one and it recycles and it goes back to 20 million and you go, well, I'm not going to spend money to win 20 million. What the heck am I going to do with that?
Right. I need 9 digits for me to be
totally right.
Really interested in this.
So, would we have even thrown $2 in for a $40 million pot? Please.
For the bad, we go to Naples, where Joseph Mouton was arrested after sneaking into the Naples Police Department and recklessly exploring. Apparently, he was in the south parking lot and went in unlocked patrol cruisers where he sat for a few minutes and saw people come outside. Then he hid in the bushes and snuck in once the coast was clear. He used a nozzle of a water hose to shove underneath the door before turning the water on and causing flooding throughout the building. Went into the men's locker room, had a shower, took some clothes, ripped off some police clothing as well, shirt, pants, cap, and a bulletproof vest, and made his way out. It wasn't until he went to the nearest 7-Eleven that police became aware of Moulton's actions. An employee called police, and they found him under the influence. During his interview, he admitted to being drunk and not recalling what he did. He's been charged with grand theft and 2 counts of burglary. How do you break into the police department? And why would one break into the police department?
Got to admit, I mean, yeah, it's incredibly stupid. It's also a little gutsy. It's a little embarrassing, though, for the police department.
That's what I think, too.
That somebody's able to break in. That's not a good look. Is this where I feel compelled to say no relation?
You and Joe aren't related, huh?
No, I know that for a fact.
For the ugly, we'll stick in Naples and go to the parking lot of the Naples Glass Cleaning Company on Good Friday, where a man seen on security cameras by the Naples Glass Cleaning Company ducked behind a dumpster that said no public dumping and proceeded to take a dump. The woman looking at the video gave an old, "What is going on?" She ran outside and yelled at him. As she said, he kept wiping all the way down the street. He had his hands in his pants with a napkin, pulling his pants up and running along. He's gotten away with a steamy surprise and did not have to clean it up. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, April the 12th, 2023.
So you got the 2 NBA games tonight. ESPN has them both. They start a little earlier tonight, 7 o'clock. In the East, Chicago, Toronto. Loser's done. Winner goes to Miami, plays the Heat Friday. 9:30, OKC in New Orleans. Loser's done. Winner goes to Minnesota to play the Timberwolves Friday. Eventually, 2 of these 6 teams are going to be the 8 seeds and play Denver and Milwaukee respectively. 3 games in the NHL tonight. There's one game that has real meaning. That's the game that's not being nationally televised by TNT. Unbelievable. They want to know why hockey ratings are down this year on ESPN and TNT. We 5 times a week go through the games that are being nationally televised. They've been largely awful selections all year.
There obviously is no flexible scheduling in this league. I mean, they had a bunch of Blackhawks games, and they put all these teams on that have either bad or they're bad teams playing good teams, not paying attention to the divisional races. It's been a mess.
What did we say last night? ESPN had hockey. Now, Toronto, Tampa Bay was tremendous theater. Okay, they're good teams, and they played a salty game and what have you. What was the game that had the meaning last night in the NHL?
It was those Blackhawks that I mentioned taking on Pittsburgh. That was the game of the night.
Right, and it was a 1-1 game in the third. Well, tonight's game with real meanings, Montreal at the Islanders. If the Islanders get a point, they're in the playoffs. Pittsburgh's out. If they get a win, it forces Florida to have to get some points tomorrow when they host Carolina. Meanwhile, TNT is going to show you Dallas at St. Louis and San Jose at Calgary. 3 of the 4 teams are eliminated from the playoffs. Everybody's in action in Major League Baseball today. 15 games, 9 of them in the afternoon if you want to play hooky and watch some ball. Marlins and Phillies at 4. Oh, by the way. But Chris Sale and the Red Sox against Taj Bradley, making his first ever Major League start. Hot prospect for the Rays. 640. Tampa Bay is 11-0. Mark, during our show, money coming in on the Rays. They're now a minus 135.
You can get Chris Sale against a guy pitching his first game and get odds.
Yep. And for Sale, this is a homecoming game because he grew up, first off, he went to college not 2 hours away, but also he grew up in Lakeland. So he always has friends and family who show up for this game. Those that come up the coast from 75 and those that go west on I-4. So he's always fired up when he pitches in the Trop.
He's always fired up anyhow.
True.
He has a edgy personality about him.
I will say when his starting days are done, and hopefully it's not for another few years, don't you think he can extend his career about 5 years as a lefty closer?
100%. 100%. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. We'll do it again tomorrow right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your